we have already opened our meeting, so we will salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for the military serving in this country and out of this country, and also we have a death of Joseph Piantino, 94, was a longtime resident of Wasaik, who was also a military vet, who was one of our honored vets on the wall of vets that Senator Greg Ball posted. So we did lose him, and we also wish to give his family condolences. And also to the family of Chuck Kenny, who was a longtime assessor here.
And Jill Calderone.
And Jill Calderelli, local fireman. She's a fireman. Thank you.
Need to point out the exits.
Your exit is on your right, our left. Public comments, do you have any?
Mr. Howard, Aaron Howard.
Yep.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Howard, President of the Town of Amenia. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Amenia Fire Company. We are planning an event scheduled for May 26th, Sunday morning. It'll be a 5K race, as far as I know, first in Amenia in a long time. The reason I'm here is to request a resolution for certain road closures. We're looking to utilize Mechanic Street in front of the firehouse to Route 343 to the crop production. At that point, we'll have the runners on the rail trail back south, and we will cross over Sheffield Road all the way down to Mechanic Street. At Mechanic Street, they'll get off of the rail trail and head down Railroad Avenue all the way down to Old Route 22, where they'll get back onto the rail trail north and exit at Mechanic Street, ultimately ending up at the firehouse. When I map this out, it works out perfectly for a 5K at 3.1 miles. We have, of course, our fire personnel, fire police to coordinate road closures. I've been in contact with the town highway supervisor, who's offered his assistance as well, and we appreciate that. Of course, we have EMS personnel. I've also contacted the Harlan Valley Rail Trail office in Millerton and Dutchess County Parks Department, where we have that permit submitted to utilize the rail trail. And we'll also be working with the New York State Police and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office in coordination for that morning. Again, the times, we're looking at people getting there at 7 a.m. and have a race start time at 8 a.m. and ultimately wrapped up by 9 a.m. So relatively short period of time.
What day was that again?
May 26th.
Okay.
It's a
Sounds
Sunday
good.
morning.
Is that a moneymaker, or is that just a civic?
It is a
activity?
fundraiser for the fire company, yes.
Okay.
Now, are you going to have anything at the end of it or at the beginning?
We do intend on having water, refreshments after the race, things like fresh fruit or granola, bottles of water,
Okay.
perhaps some music, DJing, something like that. But that's really about it. I think this really event will pretty much be kind of an in and out thing. Pretty simple, but we're hoping for a good turnout for the first year. I've already had a lot of calls about it, different running associations around the area. In fact, Sharon is getting ready to have their event, I think here soon, where they have good numbers participate in that.
So the road would be closed for just an hour. Is that what you're looking for, or would it be longer than that?
At most an hour, and
Okay.
As the race progresses, we'll be able to open back up, and we won't close certain areas until
Uh-huh.
the race progresses to that area.
How about Mechanic Street? If everybody arrives at the firehouse, does that need to be closed off longer because it's more active, or how do you see that?
As far as traffic, we probably won't close that until maybe a couple minutes before we're ready to start, when we actually get people out onto the road. At that point, whenever we have anybody on the road, we'll close it down, I guess, essentially.
Sounds like a great
That
event.
sounds wonderful.
One other consideration that we have taken is Route 343 being a main route to Sharon Hospital. Of course, in the event of any kind of emergency, we'll coordinate with those agencies, Dutchess 911, and ambulances, of course, will be allowed through. Runners will be briefed on that and to stay to the right side in that event. Another thing that we were also looking to utilize possibly the town constables to be there to help us out. They've done a great job at different events around the town, and again, it's going to be a relatively short period of time. Their EMS expertise is an added benefit as well.
Sounds like a good use of our resources.
You would need 2 of them? How many constables would you need?
I think 2 would be sufficient for this time.
Do we have that in our budget still remaining? So I would think that you need a road closure and you need authorization for 2 constables for 2 hours or 3 hours. What are you thinking? 7 to 9?
7 to 9 is what we're
Okay,
anticipating.
2 hours. Two. Yeah.
I can have those resolutions for next month.
Is that
I just
enough
need to
time
be
for you
okay.
to make your plans if we can get back to you at our next meeting? It would be May.
Can you get it to
9th.
us by Monday?
Yes,
Okay.
okay. So we can,
Get it to us by Monday, 5:30.
That'd be great. Yeah, we're looking to open registration for the race next week.
Okay. We'll do it Monday night. We're having a meeting at
30.
5:30, so we'll do it Monday
5:30.
night.
Okay?
That's quick enough.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Arlene? Oh, you're not public. You're committee. Any other public? No, that's okay. Slip of the tongue. Okay, highway report.
Yes, we've been pretty busy. We got all of our dirt roads graded. They all look pretty good. We got all the sweeping done on our town roads. They all look pretty good. Today we started some potholes. We have a few potholes. Other than that, everything else is going pretty good. At the auction, we had the 92 International tobacco on the trailer. We expected to get, what was it, $6,250. We ended up getting $9,900 after the commission. So that worked out pretty good for us. And John Fenton was talking to me and wanted me to bring this up tonight. He's looking for a truck for the building inspector. And he asked me about going on the OGS, looking for a new one. Then we got talking a little bit further, and he's looking for like something like a Ford Ranger, 4-wheel drive. We have a 97 down there, which he looked at today and he likes. And I said, well, if the board would give me that $9,900, I would shop around and look for a used truck for the highway department,
A little bigger
upgrade.
than that?
Excuse me?
A little bigger than that?
Yeah, something a little bit bigger than the Ford Ranger. And we would give him the Ford Ranger, and it's all up to you.
We've never given a truck to our inspector, our building inspector, have we?
No.
No, we've been
no.
paying him mileage.
He said he talked to Bill and I think Victoria about it, and I told him I'd bring it up tonight.
What kind of gas mileage does the Ford Ranger get?
Don't really know for sure, but I'm thinking maybe 18. It's a truck.
So it's a choice between paying mileage or...
Yeah, it's actually
Getting
cheaper to have the
something else.
truck.
Until you start servicing 97 Ford Ranger.
Right.
It's in pretty good shape right now, but it is a 97. It has, I think, maybe like 102,000 on it.
My husband has a Ford Ranger, and it's quite expensive to keep it going.
How many miles?
It's a 2005, I guess. It's 100,000 miles. So you start hitting expenses, there's no doubt about it. 1,000 a
And
year.
we bought it, I bet, geez, probably 6 years ago off somebody on my gat.
Uh-huh.
We paid $2,800 for it. It's been a good truck for us.
You said you paid 2,800 for it?
Yes.
But you would be getting 9,900, right, if we pass it over
upgrade.
to him?
And it really
Get a
doesn't matter to
bigger-
me.
Little bigger truck. What size would you want to get?
I'd like to get something with 2 4-doors or a 4-door truck.
What's a small pickup run? 20 grand?
Yeah, you'd probably get a new one for 20 grand.
We're not looking to buy new.
No, just a question. But if it's gonna cost us money to keep this old thing running, then
I
is it
think
cheaper
we're
to keep
better
an old
off
one?
with gas mileage. I mean, is he in need of a truck to perform these duties? Does he not have a,
He's been using his own car.
does he have a,
It's a new Jeep,
he doesn't want to put the miles on it?
right. I think that's the problem. He just thought, we just had this conversation the other day, so it's
I'm
sort
not
of,
ready
it's
to
sort of,
make a
yeah.
decision
don't
on that.
think
I
at
need to
this
talk
point-
to him and, I don't know.
Take a look and see where we are,
It doesn't
what
sound
are the
like-
options.
I mean, I don't mind,
It isn't just to drive around in, it's he picks up signs. And, you
Yeah.
know, he has other things.
I think
he
there's a
does.
better option, but at this point, it just sort of popped out of here.
Yeah, I'd like to think about this a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
because, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
yeah, it's just a
You're gonna take that
totally
money,
different
right?
policy.
You're gonna take the money?
Yeah, we'll take the money instead.
That's what I figured. I just have a quick question. We want to go over those bid specs for the highway garage. Are you available this week
Yeah,
sometime?
yeah, whenever, yeah.
Maybe Wednesday morning?
Okay, just let me know.
Okay, I'll stop down like, I don't know, 8 o'clock or so.
You have specs now?
No, I want to meet with John to go over, we were going to go over the specs for it.
Okay,
And then I
okay.
can meet with you.
all right.
Okay?
Is there any way I could get some cones for cleaning up the road for Saturday? If I came by tomorrow morning, would that be a possibility if I
Yeah,
talked to, okay, so about 7:30 I could stop by and pick up like 5 or 6 cones. There's some really tricky places where we're going to be trying to clean up trash that have very little visibility, and if I could just have some cones to start slowing people down,
Okay.
that would be great.
if we're not there, we'll put them by the front door.
That'd be great.
One other thing. When you did the sweeping of the roads, did you get down to the Mid-Hudson Medical Center there or whatever? Did you go down that far?
That's a state road. We just do town roads.
They
I see-
did that today, they did a terrible job.
Yeah, I know they did, yeah, it didn't look very good.
No.
They were down in Dover yesterday. I
They went
saw.
around cars and everything, it's terrible. Can we get them back, or do we just,
Oh, I don't know, you gotta talk to the state. I can give them a call tomorrow.
can you give
if
them a
you want.
call?
Yeah, I noticed it was pretty,
Yeah, it
No,
wasn't a
such a
great
great
job at
job.
all.
I have
What's it cost to sweep the streets?
it took us 3 days this year, which it went really fast. And it's $105 an hour times 24. We had a lot of sand on the road this year.
It was 24 hours total?
Right, 3 days.
Okay.
I have another issue that's kind of related to the cleanup day, is that every time we start doing cleanup and we recognize how much large bags of garbage are tossed out on a regular basis in specific places, is it is it just not possible to get a sign that says that we will fine people for dumping? So in other words, there's a place, I just picked up a bag of garbage outside the old transfer station. This seems to be a recurring thing. There's another one there now that I need to pick up. This is recurring. So if I go through the trash and we identify somebody, is it possible to fine somebody for littering?
Sure.
Is it possible to add a sign that says,
Well, you'd have to pass a town ordinance.
if we were able to pass a town ordinance, you
Yeah,
could install a sign, not on a county road.
I don't know if you have something now in the town code that,
I don't think we
I have
ever
to
got
look,
that far. I don't
but-
think we ever passed, not while I was on, that we ever passed a littering fine.
That's a county road.
That's a county road. Old 22 is county. So I know I've been, every time we do cleanup days, they say, this is really something, they say in Connecticut, they have a $500 fine for dumping, and this doesn't happen as much there. I don't know that for sure, but.
Well, you
there
can
may
call-
be a state statute off the top of my head, I don't know.
That would provide
Correct.
a fine.
And that it would be a matter of enforcing that. But that would be up to,
So maybe
you
I call
could-
the state police and say, okay, what's
correct.
the deal? I've got a county road, I've got some state road issues. How do we prosecute?
Yeah, I can find out if there's any state statute that, I
That
assume
would
that there
provide.
is, I just don't know
Yeah.
specifically where it is.
Okay.
If that's the case, and there is, then it's a matter of reporting it to the sheriff or the state police and asking them to prosecute.
Okay. So if you could look into that state law.
Sure.
We'll look into the trash and see if we can find out who's doing it.
We found bags before with people's names in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've called the sheriff would come, have the people come clean it up, and that's about it. They
Oh,
wouldn't-
that's something.
No tickets.
So what we'd like to do is have some signs and some fines.
Yes,
That would,
money hurts.
right, right, a $500 fine might deter them,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it?
Thanks, Dean. Town clerk?
Evening. I'd like to report that the tax collection is almost to an end. We've collected 89%. Just like to give that general reminder out there to anyone who has not paid their property tax. You can still do so by stopping in the town clerk's office or mailing them in. On May 15th, we will be sending out the final notices, and then on May 30th, you'll be paying the county. Fishing season has opened. If you are still in need of a fishing license, please feel free to stop by the office. Turkey hunting starts on May 1st. And as a general reminder, there is no burning until May 16th. It ends on May 15th. So I keep giving that reminder out every month. Also, I noticed I have a lot of new dogs in the community, and you would stop by the town clerk's office Monday through Thursday and come in and you can purchase your dog license from Patty or myself. And I see on the agenda we have approval of minutes, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Arlene, committee?
Arlene Giuliano, town historian, and just a brief report, Bill, which, a couple of things here. One is on the town of Amenia brochure, which has really progressed very well. I thank Mary for all her work on that, and you know where it's at right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's almost ready for, well, you got to vote on who's going to print it, I guess, right? I did seek 3 quotes, that's legal, and I think Bill got 2 back. And
Yeah, but I don't think she gave it to me.
well, it's
Do you have them?
in the box out there. you know, but I think the recommendation was to go
With Fountain Press
Fountain Press
was,
at their, right, at their price, which was apparently reasonable, right? 1,000 copies. Or, now you know. Mary here?
no.
No, she was there. I can go out and get it after I
That's okay.
report and bring it back to you, Bill, so if you, because
These are the two, here's the two estimates.
we really do need to move on this if we want to get it.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, okay. A lot of paper. I mean, you've got to sort through a lot of stuff.
Fountain Press quote was $237.97. That's for 2 colors, and that's what you want, right?
Whatever you want, guys.
Full color is,
I'm
it's full
okay.
color is $393.93.
It's up to you, board.
So it's up to the board what you want to pay, what you want to do. The other one is, it has color, has a couple colors in it.
The one that
original
we used originally was yeah,
was color.
black or maroon. Wait a minute.
The other bid was $237. That's for one black, one color.
Which brochure is this?
It's for the Historical Society.
Town of
You can
Amenia.
No, this, I'm sorry, Bill, the Historical Society does not have anything to do with this particular brochure. Did I misinterpret
No,
what?
I just wanted
what
to
you-
make sure
No,
I
it's
knew
a
which
Town of Amenia brochure.
brochure is
Right.
the town.
This is a Town of Amenia project to redo a brochure that was done in 2001 on the town and certain information on the town. I distributed it last month.
Right.
Was it last month, Bill? And in the meantime, you say, go ahead. Went ahead to,
So you want the 2 colors? Sounds like.
not really, whatever it was.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I think
We go with Fountain Press at $237.97 for the 2 color printing. They did the original printing, so they had
Yes,
everything
right.
set up. So
Yeah.
they're the cheapest.
So
of
whatever
all
it
of
was, it is, so
Yeah,
to speak,
second.
except with the changes in information.
them. And Victoria
That's
seconded
appropriate
it.
for the town.
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Prody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Thank you, and I will, hopefully they get it done by May 6th, because I am scheduled to go out to the Children's Museum, where there's going to be a brochure exchange, which is sponsored by the Dutchess County Historian, the Dutchess County Tourism, and all us historians in this Dutchess County who have been working on this particular project, which I'll,
Well, you can
And-
call them tomorrow and tell them when you need it, since I got the bid.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
You can call them tomorrow and tell them when you need them by,
Yeah,
since
okay.
they got the bid.
Yeah, I'm sorry, right. Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, okay.
I mean, we'll
But,
call them and tell them we
I'm
got
not-
the
I'm
bid, but
not
you know,
officially-
you need to tell them when you need it by.
It's up
We
to
don't-
Bill. Bill, is that all right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys
Yep.
are
Actually, I'll
the
Mary
ones
call in the
approving
morning.
this. I'm only a,
Mary will
I
call him
have
in the
no
morning.
power here.
So you need
Mary-
it by the 6th?
Mary was going to call him in the morning.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. But she's been great.
Yeah.
Really been a great worker, and the board, thank you for that. I
You're
will need, out of that 1,200, this is to take out to the May 7th exchange. That's the minimum number they're asking for. I hope that's all right.
That's fine.
But that, they will be distributed around the Hudson Valley region. That's a major, one of the things they're going to do specifically.
Good.
So everybody gets, okay, and I'll pick up some from wherever they come. Okay, so, thanks. Now, I'm also working on another brochure, and this is with Eastern Dutchess historians, particularly the town of, and villages of Pauling, Dover, Amenia, and Millerton and Northeast. And we're working on a brochure that will represent our particular area, Eastern Dutchess.
Good.
And we, thanks to the good works of Valerie La Robadier, who is a historian for the town of Dover, she initiated this, that we get involved in this particular project. And also Bob Riley and David Greenwood of Pauling. Bob gets on that desktop thing and produces things right off the bat. Matter of fact, this is basically the size that it's going to be. We don't have much time, but it will point out certain spots in our area, Harlem Valley here, that are historic, and will be, hopefully will, encourage people to come over here and see us and get off of 22 and come a little further there, or stay on 22 and see. But it's not a major brochure with a lot of information. It's the beginnings of this particular kind of presentation. And from Millerton is, I don't want to skip her out for Al Federley. So between the five of us, we've been meeting for the past 2 or 3 weeks and should hope to have this brochure ready for the May 6th and to take out on May 7th. And Valerie is she's really done a fantastic job. Dover just restarted their historian roles down there. Also, this is the last day of to buy the Democracy in Duchess book that is being prepared to recount 300 years of history in Dutchess political life. I've had advertisements up here. It's been in the Poughkeepsie Journal, $29.95. We should be in it. To the best of my ability, I got us in it. So, and otherwise, on August 10th, Bill, I think we're having Dutchess County historians out here for their quarterly meeting, and which was
August 11th, right?
Pardon?
What was the date again?
August 10th.
10th.
I mean, that's a ways away.
Yep.
But if we need help, I'm sure the Grange, the Stone Church Grange members, I've got some who are interested in helping if
Sure.
whatever we need that day. But, okay. And I guess that's it. All right, so thank you.
Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine Ford. I'm from the Recreation Commission. On April 18th, we had an interview where we had 2 applications. One declined to show up for the seat that we have on our board, and the other one did show up. It was P. Claire, and we accepted him. You guys were supposed to have a little meeting with him today, too, and did you accept him into our commission?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We will tonight, I think.
Okay. I talked with Byron Barnes today. Cheerleading is all okay with their insurance. They're up to date. Actually, they're doing their little gymnastics cheer out there now, and they seem to be enjoying themselves. The adult softball, their insurance is up to date. Our little league, we have 13 boys on it, and they've been practicing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Their first home game is 6 o'clock this Friday at the ball field. So it'd be nice to see everybody there. Girls softball, we have 34 girls that signed up, so we had to make a junior league. So now we have a junior and a senior league. The senior league right now is meeting Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for practice. Eventually they'll be having games on Fridays. The junior league meets Wednesdays and Fridays, and they're going to look into having games too with a couple other groups that do have junior league groups too, because they're younger kids. They're the ones that have never played before. All my coaches' background checks came back really good. I have really great coaches that are helping me out this year. Our opening day is this Saturday. For Tiny Tots, I have a Michael Winchcombe and myself. For T-ball, I have a Janice Medina and a Tara Armstrong. For my minors, I have a John Forbes and a Paul Winters. For my majors, I have Sean Howard and Steve Reed, and I have a Chris Shea and Tom Ford. For softball, like I said, the senior league is Chip Watt, and the junior league is going to be Christy Kilmer. Our little league, we have Sam Bailey, Rick Longiu, and Chris Klinger. On Saturday, starting next week,
The games will be Tiny Tots from 9:30 to 10:30. T-ball will be 9 to 10. Minors will be from 9 to 10:30, and majors 11 to 1. Just wanted to kind of update you on a little bit of that. Last weekend, I had a cleanup at the ball field. All my coaches showed up. I had a bunch of kids show up, and we did a great job. We cleaned it all up. We did the dugouts. We pulled all the benches out. We cleaned around there. I wanted to paint the bathrooms, and Sean needs to fix one of the bathrooms. The toilet's actually in the ladies' bathroom. I know he tried last week 3 times to get a PO from Sherry, and she wasn't here. I know he tried this week too. I apologize, but the bathrooms won't be painted by Saturday. There's no way I can do it. So I'm hoping to actually get a PO so I can maybe by next Saturday be able to paint them. A thing that was just brought to my attention, the
You
cheerleading.
still don't have a PO and you've tried 4 times?
As far as I know, I talked to Sean just a
Just
little
give me
while ago.
tomorrow, and I'll get a PO for you. Just give me a call.
I was talking to the cheerleading coach, and she says she has a father who wants to make some cubbies into that room that connects to the gym. The table that's there, it's broken, it's not good. And he's willing to make it and put it in his own labor, his own stuff, now cost to us, for nice cubbies, which we could use in there. Then all the girls can put their stuff in their own, and we can use it also for our Amenia Day Camp. We could use it for anything else we do down there in that gym, and I think it's a great thing that we should do. So I'm asking your permission to give her the okay to have that father come and do this.
It's gonna be on the,
When you walk in there and you walk right into the room, the wall's right here. The table used to be there. I see the table's broken now. And it's gonna be right there as far, and not all the way up to where the electric is. And it's gonna probably be about this big, and it's gonna meet where the wall actually comes out, if you look into there.
You want to have him touch base with John Fenton?
Okay.
well, the only issue we have, I see, is you can't block that room where the shower is, because that shower's gonna be part of the.
No, it's not going that far. It's not, there's a closet where we keep all our stuff in. It's not even gonna go that far.
Yeah, have John
Well, the
Fenton look
closet
at it.
is the shower, correct? That's what you're using.
Yeah, but before that, where there's that open space, that's
Right.
where the table
There
used
was
to
a
sit in.
table there.
They were looking at putting 24, 25 cubbies in there, rather than just dropping.
Yeah, well, I just, because part of the grant process that we're doing is to refurbish that shower. So we have to make sure you can get into that shower. That storage room that you're using, that's a shower, or was a shower. So part of the process that we're going through is to redo that as a shower, your storage. So we gotta make sure we don't block that door. So maybe we can put it on the right-hand side. We'll take a look at it tomorrow, whatever. I have no problem putting the cubbies in, we just gotta make sure we put them in the right spot.
Yeah, and John needs to take a look at it. You need
Okay.
to run it by him.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is my opening day, which is this Saturday. I have all the kids meeting at 8:15 at the Amenia Firehouse. At 8:30, the parade will start. I have approximately about 4 hay wagons actually coming. We will go with traffic. We're not going to stop traffic. I have the Amenia Fire Company is going to have their brush truck, and the Wassaic Fire Company will have their brush truck. So I'll have one leading and one following. I talked to Byron, and everything's fine, insurance purposes. I'm sorry.
We know what you meant.
It's late. And then at 8:30, when the parade starts, we're going to go into the parking lot. And these vehicles will actually go all the way around the park. And in the back part of the park where there's parking, that's where they're going to be parked. I'm not going to let anybody else back there but them, because they're pretty big. And then at 9 o'clock, I have the national anthem being sung by Cassandra Whitehead, who lives in Millerton. At between 9 and 9:15, John Lamb will be signing autographs. At that time, we also have our first annual Farm League, entire league picture going to be taken of everybody. This is the forum I've had. I believe I gave Victoria some to actually pass out. I hope you guys saw it.
Yeah, they all
this is
have
our first year doing this. It's nice. It's going to be a panoramic. If anybody wants to participate, you're more than welcome. If you want one, it's $15. They will be there. Their name is Memory Makers. They're from Hopewell Junction, a really nice company that actually does the school pictures. At 9:30, we'll have our picture done with the entire league. The Monarchs will be there, I know for a fact. I'm not sure if Connie Mack's going to show. He did pass the word. Babe Ruth, both teams, I've actually passed the word to everybody. Same thing with the girls softball and the boys little league, if they want to participate. Millerton has also been invited too, and hopefully they'll come and enjoy the stuff. We will be having, right afterwards, we'll be having our games. On the major league field, there'll be 2 T-ball teams going at the same time, as long as and at Tiny Tots. So those 3 will be playing on that field. On the Little League field will be my major league teams. If all 3 teams show up, we're splitting up to 2 teams. Yes, I know it's going to be a lot of kids, but this is our fun day. It's not everybody keeping track of who's doing what. We're just there to have fun and enjoy each other. It's more like a community type enjoying. It's baseball, and it's going to be a great day, and let's just all be out. Let the parents all talk. No fighting, no arguing. Let's just have fun. On the softball field will be my minor leagues, playing, having fun, getting dirty. I have businesses I went to, and I've got hot dogs donated from Andrea's Pasta Shop, Freshtown, and the Lions Club. The Lions Club also is giving us a plate of cookies and water. I don't want soda, I want water only. Delango's Metro Cafe, K&P Performance gave us some other help there so we can make it a little bit bigger and better. Cousins Mini Market is donating cookies for us. Fran, she calls her shop up here Fishbone Frank's. She also owns Goppy's Dover. She is going to cook for me those hot dogs for free. I try to buy her gas, and she refuses to take the gas. So it should be fun. We're all coming together. We're all having fun. I just need to tell you, though, my coaches are wonderful people, and the parents have actually stepped up, and we're doing really great. I was able to get my T-shirts. They came today with a woman that's helped me out a lot. Her name is Desiree Baldelli. She went and grabbed them for me today, and I just handed out a group, actually 2 groups just got theirs, and the 3rd one will hand him out later, and I have 3 with me now, so they will be all handed out by Saturday. I do have a few that, are late and they didn't get T-shirts, but it should be a great time. I know everybody's having a great, it's just nice. I just left now, and JV was 8-8, and I left my 2 boys to play the game, and I already know what the score is, so I think that's all I can say right now, because I don't remember anything else. They won? Oh, never mind.
Congratulations.
Seniors trips, I know I keep getting calls, and Linda said that she was going to be working with Victoria Prodi.
I'm working with Charlene on that,
Okay, so.
a senior trip,
Trips, okay. So I know when they keep calling me, I said, I don't want them to come to me anymore because I don't know anything about them. I'm just really doing
Charlene
baseball.
who?
Pollinger.
I thought she got off the committee.
She doesn't have to be on the commission to work on as a volunteer.
I thought Frankie O'Connell and Linda
I thought
Gregory were
Frankie
gonna
and Linda and,
Linda is working on it.
yeah,
do it. Okay.
yep. And I think that's all I did sign up already for movie nights. I'm actually going to do it longer, though I said I was going to do it shorter. I'm going to start it October 4th in 2013 and go to April 4th, 2014.
And we also got a donation of this new screen, 13-foot screen.
Is that bigger than what I have there now?
Yeah,
Is it?
it'll take up the whole,
Wow.
it's a big commercial screen.
Oh, wow.
And can we have one in here so we have,
Yeah, we can take one from
Something-
there and here.
I also wanted to let you know that the Westlake Firehouse helped me out, and they donated me a big first aid kit. I mean, it's huge. And I have that in the concession stand. I did add some more Band-Aids to it. And I think that was all I have to say, unless you have something else for me.
Now, the town hall is usually closed on Friday. Do you have a time that Christine can give you the orders so we could finally get a PO? So she knows when to give it to you?
I can be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
is it
What
Sean
time-
that needs the PO? Because he did, so why don't
So
you
what's
give
it, the
Sean
toilet?
a call?
We have to fix the ladies' bathroom and the toilet. I'd like to clean in there. I'll bring my own stuff to clean it, because it's just
Do you
gross.
need a toilet?
No, he needs to fix
Is it toilet
whatever he
repair
needs to
kit?
fix. I don't know the
And
little
paint
parts that she
supplies.
needs. And then I want to get paint and a few brushes. I said he doesn't have to get everything because I'll use some of my stuff. But I
So
have
he
no
has a
problem.
list?
He has a list.
Okay, he has a list,
That's
and we
all
need a
from
PO for the list, so
Page
everything's...
Lumber.
Yeah,
All from
okay.
Page Lumber.
So, so you can meet here with Bill at
What time
9
are you
o'clock.
available?
I'm going to actually be at the ball field tomorrow,
What time?
starting to decorate. I'm going to be there just after 9 o'clock.
All right, I'll meet you over there.
Anything else?
Thank you very much for all
Thank
that
you.
work. That's a lot,
Great job.
really.
We would have helped you with your cleanup day too, but you did it. You're doing it the wrong time.
No, we'll pop over there when we, in between cleaning here.
So I'm hoping it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a nice day.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Mike?
Thank you.
That's very good.
Thanks, Mike. Oh, great, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Getting to be grant writing season now, which is kind of exciting. There's a lot of new grants on the horizon that I think the town may be interested in, and some old ones too that we're making some progress on. I guess I'll go along with the outline here. It is official that we did get the grant from the CDBG grant. We're in the action plan. I think that's great. It actually may be 100,000. I put 150,000 here because it's a handicapped accessible project for the trail to the train.
Yeah, I think that's the limit you can get for handicap
Yes.
accessible is 100,000.
It is, and that is the priority of Dutchess County. It always has been. There was a meeting yesterday of the Trail to the Train. I could not attend.
Yeah,
There was
I
a-
appreciate you reaching out, and unfortunately Victoria was away too, so it was just Darlene and myself, and they had some questions that, were, you know, maybe when, all right, Victoria, you're gonna report on, because you have more information than we did. I mean, we had some information already, which helped, but, if you
Well,
could just give an update.
actually, what I did is, I got the, I guess it was the minutes or a list emailed to me from Dave Reagan that I forwarded to WSP Cells and asked for responses that I could share with them.
Yeah, their main concern is that, you know, by June, we should have had the bid specs ready to go. But we haven't heard, there's so many other pieces
Well,
that we're
yeah.
not sure about, whether that's all gonna come together in June. You know, last we understood, at least from our last board meeting, was that we would not have construction taking place this year in in the best likelihood that we could project. Is that correct?
Yes, there's been you know, just everything that we had to do with Metro North and it had to go through several different departments, and it's just taken a long time.
They had
That
some
whole piece of
concerns
it.
about, you know, just the process that, you know, Marty is with Metro North. It didn't seem to be Metro North. It seemed to be, you know, other factors. They really need a clarification as to where we are and in the timeline and what the delay is. You know, some sort of a, they were expecting monthly reports, and I thought we were getting them, but I wasn't getting them. I thought maybe you were getting them.
No, I forwarded them to everybody when I
No,
got
but I
them.
mean, as far as along the way.
Oh, the
you
progress
know.
report.
Yes, progress reports, that's what they were looking for. And they had the map and, you know, the timeline, which you got as well, and I got. But I didn't have any answers for them, so.
I talked to Dan Breyer yesterday,
Uh-huh.
basically in the last few weeks. They're actually moving forward fairly quickly at this point. Metro North did hold them up about the easements and so on and so forth.
The right-of-way, do you
The
know
right-of-way.
the process on the right-of-way? Because,
They have to do the appraisals. I think Metro North is ordering the appraisals now, and that's something that we have to pay for them.
do we have to approve them?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, is it,
There was some emails too, that there has been progress. And
Sure.
Perhaps you
Yeah,
can.
there's
And then
just-
there, I
it
know
just
with
takes
Metro
time.
North, one of the issues is with the flagman, because we have to supply, they have to supply a flagman when they're working on the.
Right, and we knew that all
near-
along.
right,
That's part
near-
of our
right.
budget too.
Well, they
to
tried,
pay
they're
for
trying to
that.
do away with them, but then Metro North said no, then they said maybe. The DOT has seen the plans already. There were comments back from DOT, so I know I think they're at 60% now. They have been at 60%.
Yes.
And they're going back to the DOT at, I think, at a 90% here shortly.
They met, I think they've obtained conceptual approval from Metro North Railroad, which I thought was
Correct.
significant.
Yes, finally.
Finally.
Yeah, so that's
Good for
significant. Maybe it's just a matter of communicating some of these
Yeah, I
things
think
to the committee. It
communication,
was a
because-
very lengthy memo, and I'm intended to respond. I will respond if they would like me to, from what I know, because there are some things that probably do need clarification.
Yeah, and I talked to them, they didn't think maybe construction would start this fall, maybe.
But we're still within the parameters of the grant, which is a 5-year grant for the
Well,
TEP
nice to be- it
grant.
would nice to be get it done also.
Oh, sure. I think everyone wants to, but it is, we really do have to have the final design approvals,
Sure.
and the right-of-ways has to be clearly delineated, and then you have to acquire the land.
Well, I don't think some of these people realize the process of getting this approved. It's pretty extensive.
We've had some good news, though, too, in terms of getting a lot of grants to help pay for the bulk of the work. And there's more to, there are others out there that we could still pursue if there is a shortfall, because the state, I did attend some workshops on the consolidated funding applications that New York State is now actively, it's open for towns to pursue. They're due in June. One of them is the New York State Parks Grant Program. TEP will eventually be reauthorized as well. So there's going to be a lot of state grants that we probably want to pursue for some of these projects anyway. The Greenway grant is due next month, actually, if that is something of interest to the town, for perhaps more money for planning or for trail work. And that's due, they're usually about every 3 months that you can apply. It depends upon when their board meetings are. The grants are due a month before their board meeting. We did have a good meeting on Saturday with Leo Blackman, and Darlene was there, and Bill, to sort of flesh out more of the plans for the kitchen grant. I think it was a good meeting because Rudy Eschbach has done a lot of the legwork in terms of getting cost estimates and actually getting someone who could build this space and design it for the town. So that helped. I've been working on the rural development grant, which could pay up to $25,000 to $30,000 in grants. I attended a workshop actually just this afternoon up in Hillsdale regarding all the programs that USDA offers. There's not just rural development. That is mainly for community facilities. They also have grants for business development, which this could be eligible for because you're trying to help farmers at the farmers market. Plus, the New York State Department of Agriculture has a program that could benefit the farmers market. So I'm thinking it may make sense to apply not just for this one, but others, because you never know if you're going to get a grant. You might get partial funding. It sounds like they don't have a lot of money. They mainly give out loans to towns for...
Is the USDA one, is that Ag and Markets? That's the other one we were looking at?
Well, USDA is the federal one, and Agriculture and Markets is New York State.
Okay.
So yes, they do have a program.
Because I think there's Ag and Markets had one too.
Yeah, they do, Victoria, and that's going to be due in June, so we may want to pursue that. I'm going to develop the proposal. I am developing it. I think after the meeting with Leo, I have a much better idea. I wrote a draft narrative, which
Okay.
I gave to people for their input. But I think it looks like it's a $100,000 project when you put all together all the renovations and all the things you want to do with new access doors and taking out a lot of that center aisle that's in there now. So there are several grants that I think we may want to pursue for aspects of this particular project, including the Consolidation of Services grant from Dutchess County, which I was working on. I have the application. That is something for the entire building that I thought we would consider. So I did that. Then I did some significant follow-up on the Main Street grant. I did speak to Colette Moss. I was kind of hoping she'd be here tonight. She has this notarized documents that I asked for, and she has assured me she has financing in place to do the project if we can work with her in phases to do various phases of the project. I explained to her that the committee may have to meet and just take another look at the grant in general, especially because the scope of work for her project may not have been as clear as, I think we may have been under the impression that this work was geared towards helping to create 4 apartments that would be livable in that building. And in order to qualify for that much money, $138,000, all 4 apartments would have to be,
Fully made
yes.
habitable?
Yes, and so that may be a catch.
But
And
she's moving forward to do the whole building.
Yes, and
Because I spoke with her.
yes,
But we have to have that, you have to have that financial commitment, correct?
yes,
Because
well, we need that. Yes, as part of the town's application. that was-
Isn't the state, they're coming here, when is the meeting? Aren't they coming here?
Well, that's up to us. I was going to ask the subcommittee when we can meet. They are willing to come down and meet with us, because, as
I think
Aaron
that
Kinney
would
was
be good.
explaining, what they would do, what she wants in the interim, which I am going to supply to her, is a clear scope of work for the building and a budget, specifically saying what it is that she's intending to do. Because I did send her the application. It just may be that unless all 4 apartments are going to be renovated, that might be too much of an award. So that may have to be reconsidered and lowered possibly to, say, $100,000.
But it's
Might be
better
the-
that she come down and discuss
Yeah.
it with us so that she can answer any questions that we have.
Yes, I mentioned it to Colette, and I think she even called Albany, who has advised me that really people, if they have concerns about this program, should really bring them to our attention, to me as the local project administrator, just be in fairness to them, because they don't really respond directly to citizens. It's not their role. They did, Mr. Patel called, and I think we've dealt with those questions, but they would prefer
So
us
are
to
you
handle
going
it
to set up
locally.
the meeting for, something,
Like next week, I mean, it should be soon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gone on long enough.
Maybe if you can give me a few dates, I'll arrange it with Erin, because her boss wants to come
The 3
too,
of us.
Crystal Loeffner, who
Yeah.
is
okay, that would be good.
next week sometime,
Yeah.
Sure.
in the evening.
As soon as possible.
Soon as
All
possible.
right.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
In the other building, she can start, Claire?
Well, no,
Yeah.
they can start soon. I did submit the paperwork to Office of Parks and Recreation. They have to give a go-ahead.
The
These are
historical part.
Yes, so I've sent that in. I'll follow up with them. I'm not sure how long it takes for them to approve. It should be relatively quickly, because none
Yeah,
of
They
the...
can start the next day after we get that approval, so Claire's ready to go.
Yes, she is ready. I mean, she has all her paperwork, her financing, so, but I would caution to not just go right ahead until we get that clearance. It's possible they could still be reimbursed. Anything after December 9th is eligible for reimbursement. It's just, that, why begin in case, there is a concern from,
Well, we're not, no,
Right.
she's not beginning, because I spoke with John Fenton also about, and he said, you need to let him know the minute you get that, so that he can give her the okay to go ahead and start.
yes, he sent me an email also.
So we have,
so-
we have everything in place.
Okay. And
But
then
he-
also,
But he needs to know
Well, there'll
immediately.
be some lead abatement there, I would assume.
they also need to approve any streetscape plans, so they need to clear that as well. So if there's a plan for the
Yeah,
streetscapes.
I wanted to talk to you about that because, Kevin did a preliminary bid spec for the streetscape, and it's just, in my opinion, it's just not up to the level where we can distribute it. We did have the legal, and people have replied to it to pick up the bid specs, and I would only say that whoever submitted or put their name in or picked up anything, that these bid specs will be coming, in a week to 10 days. There are just so many pieces that have to be put together. We need a map of a scale, not just photographs of buildings. We need very particular dimensions on where these trees are going to be planted and who's going to be approving the location. There has to be a approval process, and there has to be, even a certified arborist to inspect the plants when they arrive and along the way to make sure everything is done properly. Diagrams of the trees, how they're going to be planted, some sort of formalized specifications so that there's no misunderstanding about what is done. I don't want to leave everything up to the people who reply to the bid.
Right.
If it's vague, that's what you get. You get a vague tree, or, you know, how long it's gonna last, who the, you know, the proper control of the project, a project manager, a certified arborist, and someone on the town board, so that there is a clear path if there's a question that comes up, who answers it, and, you know, where it gets directed, and what the solution is, so that everything is clearly delineated, the insurance forms, all that, when they would be due, so that we don't have any loose ends. So it's going to take some time to get it right.
That makes a lot of sense, Darlene. I can reach out to the Office of Parks and Recreation to see exactly what they need to approve, because they probably would
Yes.
need some sort of landscaping planting plan,
Yes,
because that does need to get their approval too, whatever trees are going in or whatever.
so, you know, as far as, that should be in the bid specs, that this has to be approved if something is done, you know, differently than what was approved, you know, what the consequences are, all of this. You
Right.
know, I just feel comfortable having it all in here and not just a few sentences. You know, if we're doing grates, we need to maybe have that as an addendum. You know, I don't know what the cost of that would be, so that we can choose to include them or not include them when we get the cost figures. So it will take some work, so just keep track of the people, let them know they won't miss out on anything. I had a call from Patty as well, you know.
Yeah, we've had 5 people come in, so we're just,
Yeah,
People
so
just
they'll
getting
be coming, just keep track of them, and once it's all together, we can just email them something, and that's probably the best. Everybody has email nowadays, and so that's forthcoming.
But you feel comfortable in development of the specs, like you have enough to do that, like all the tree plantings and stuff?
Yeah, well, I do need to talk with you as the process, who's going to review. I mean, these bid specs, I would assume, have to be reviewed by somebody before they get distributed, too, if there's something that's lacking.
All right, well, I'd be happy to help with that. I
Okay.
mean, maybe even Dutchess County could provide some input, or may have some generic.
I've called several people, so I'm putting all the pieces together, and, you know, we'll have something that's very detailed, because I don't want anything to go awry, as it did on Mechanic Street. There were some problems on Mechanic Street, and that was before I was involved. I only, you know, peripherally know that we need to be very particular. We need to have proper inspections.
Oh,
We need to
definitely.
have some sort of maintenance, some sort of guarantee. All that stuff needs to be in place. So, yeah, maybe if we could talk early next week,
All right.
too, so I get a sense of what, you know, what needs to be in here that they need to have in their review process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, the rest is pretty explanatory. I'm working on a new claim for the Trail to the Train for some engineering costs. I'll get that done shortly. We have been reimbursed. We've been reimbursed for WSP Cell's time, which is something that the committee should know as well, that the town is going, in fact, all of the cost of designs of this project are going to be covered by grants.
That was one of the questions they had, you know, how much have we paid them? And I don't know that answer. How much has
I'm not sure. They're 65% completed of a $95,000 fee.
Okay.
So it's approximately,
Yeah, the
60,000.
communication is just vital, so that everybody knows what's
Yes.
happening.
well, I could start writing up some progress reports, you know, if
That
that
would be
would help.
helpful. Yeah.
Well, just that, I'm working on the kitchen grant, and then all these grants from New York State will be coming about, and the Consolidation of Services grant with Dutchess County. So I guess I will need some approvals from you to apply for those, and I can get the resolutions.
Consolidation of what services?
Well, what we were thinking, not necessarily consolidation of services, but we were thinking of using that grant to, for the needs of Town Hall to act as a regional center where you could possibly apply for a generator and for additional renovations to this building so that it could be a shelter for not just Amenia, but the entire region. That was what I thought our thought was from the last couple meetings,
Okay.
which I think would be a good one. If you read the application, that's definitely eligible.
Right.
I thought it was encouraging that all the equipment that they needed for this kitchen could fit in the space that we have. We do not have to add on, so that was great. Great to
Last
hear.
thing we need
I
is
thought it
more
was I thought it
square
needed,
footage to take care of and maintain, and he,
Well, we
Yeah.
don't want to add on, and we have to go through
no, but I mean, I didn't know if it would
historical
fit.
approval
spot,
and
right?
everything.
Everything
makes
fits.
sense. And you have enough electrical capacity to
No, might
power?
have to upgrade
No,
that.
upgrade.
that'll have to be upgraded.
That's part of the grant process.
And a lot of it would be, he's proposing gas so that it can be used during.
Right, a lot of gas appliances, propane, LP.
I attended the Pattern for Progress.
Oh, right, the Monday meeting, you mean,
Yeah,
here?
at Madeira Farms.
Oh, that's something else.
It was run by the state of New York, the governor's office, the local economic development team that's there.
Oh, yeah, that was about the consolidated funding application?
Yeah, what they're gonna do, what they've said that we should do is to consolidate all our, like, little organizations, the farmers and the farmers market and, like I remember the program where we fed the kids for summer program. Consolidate as much as we can within the town and apply for this, all the same, but under the same, but for one grant. And they would break it out because we have a better handle on getting more money. They also said that, actually Ron Hicks was there, he will come out and meet with us. So they said get all our organizations together, whatever, like, you know, the fire department needs some money, the other ones needs, other groups need money, that we could get together and do one big application, they could break it out. And anybody that has a chance to go to Madeira Farm, it's worth the trip.
Where is that?
In Dover Plains on, I forget the name up bunch, is it Chestnut Ridge?
Chestnut Ridge, Ridge Road.
Ridge Road, it is it's where they make the crown maple syrup. It's incredible. The money that's been spent there is just phenomenal. It's beautiful. They're gonna open for lunch, I believe. They have a little lunch counter there where you go in and buy maple syrup. It's incredible what they've done there. So it's pretty nice. What's that? Yeah, Aaron was there, yeah. There are a lot of people from Amenia there. Wasake Project, that's another group that could join us. Tanya Shermanoff was there. She has some other people that are interested in asking for, obviously looking for grants. But the woman from Albany basically felt, from the governor's office, felt that if we did as one town or one group of people, organizations, you have a better chance of scoring higher, so we get more money, or at least get some money. And Dutchess County did very well getting the money, so that's why Hicks wants to be involved. The higher we can score as Dutchess County, the more money that's available for us.
That sounds good. I know Ron Hicks. And,
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are economic development grants
Sure.
out
Yeah.
there.
There's a lot of money, and actually there was a gentleman there from NYSERDA who I have his card that said there's more money available from NYSERDA to help with
The kitchen grant.
with the building.
Yes, I know. Well, that's why this consolidated funding application is so
Right.
critical. If we can apply.
They would help. He would help us get through that part of the grant through NYSERDA. Because I basically told them if it was, the paperwork is just phenomenal, and then at the end of the day, they tell us that you're not gonna get the money. So he said.
Right. Well, we can do a super application, it sounds like,
Yeah,
for the
sure.
town hall and, combining some of these projects like the kitchen.
So if you know any
grant.
organizations on board that can reach out, you can reach out to them, like the dance program, so on and so forth. We can all sit together, and we should set up a meeting very shortly, and Hicks will come out and meet with us,
All right,
and sit down and help us with the application,
that's great.
so we can get that done. But it's worth the trip to go to Madeira Farm. And the maple syrup's pretty good also. So,
Thanks, Bill.
thank you. Any other committee reports?
Wastewater, I just want to give a quick update on wastewater. Meeting on Monday, we were expecting to hear some word from EFC, Environmental Facilities Corporation, regarding hardship funding for the wastewater. And that whole announcement has been delayed until the end of May. So our next meeting will be in June, early June sometime. So everything is kind of at a standstill, but people should know that they will always have input. We did have some people attend the meeting, and we had their comments, but the people should be assured that it has to be affordable. It's not something that's going to be forced upon residents. And anytime they can come to the meeting, it'll be posted sometime in June, and everyone's welcome to come.
For enhancement, I'll have some bags, boxes of contractor bags here at Town Hall at 9 o'clock and at Fountain Square. They'll probably be just help yourself boxes of stuff, so take as many as you think you'll need for the area. You can give me a call at 845-489-7826 if you need some help picking up garbage if you don't have transportation. And 9 o'clock we'll be starting that, but you can do it at any time. The transfer station will take roadside cleanup at any, up until, I think they're open till 1, but they will take it for anybody who's been doing roadside or trail cleanup. Also, Ian has been very kind, and he's offered to allow us to use his dumpster on Kent Road. 138 Kent Road at the Harlem Valley entrance near the South Amenia Presbyterian Church. So you take your right on Kent Road from the church, you'll see it on the right, and he's made that available. He's also doing a huge amount of territory around his properties under Old Route 81, that really difficult place, and I'm going to have some cones for difficult places like that. And we'll be planting some trees at Borden Park. Anna Haydock is going to be down in Wassaic at 10 o'clock and needs some volunteers. I know I have one for sure, but there's some heavier work that needs to be done down there. So 10 o'clock in the middle of Wassaic, right in the little park near the railroad tracks and the post office. Right there is where we'll be needing some extra hands there if you don't already have a street that you've committed to. So thank you all for coming out.
That's it for committees. Town of Northeast. Received a call and a letter from Town of Northeast, John Merwin, the supervisor. Dear Bill, the Town of Northeast is in the process of developing their disaster recovery plan, which outlines the range of potential threats to the town's information technology systems and data, and establishes a plan to restore operations as quickly as possible in the event of a disaster. The plan requires the town to plan for 2 possible scenarios. First being the town hall being destroyed by fire. Our response to this involves moving to the firehouse until temporary housing can be obtained. The second scenario is more regional in nature, involving the village of Millerton, where the town hall is located. It is in this regard that the town of Northeast is asking that if this scenario becomes a reality, can the town of Northeast temporarily relocate its business office in the Amenia Town Hall? Please let us know if this is possible. Thanks for your help. Obviously, and I will put this in a letter with the grant.
Yeah.
It actually, I'll make a motion that we allow Millerton, the town of Northeast, to use our building offices in the case of a disaster within their town or village.
A second.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. So we'll approve this, Dawn, and then send Michael a copy that can go in with that grant. That'll work. Ridgecrest Farm. We have a resolution.
I sent the resolution, I did send it late, I apologize for that. But I have extra copies if
I think
anybody
she made
needs.
them.
We have it.
Yep. Did you get a chance to read this? It came.
Well, it came at, I
we
didn't
know
have a
it's
chance
in
to
it.
read it, but if
Right.
somebody can walk us through it, I assume it's complying with all of the conditions that
Right.
we requested.
They're all in here, correct?
Basically, you're in determining whether or not to grant special use permit for soil mine, you are somewhat limited in the conditions that you can impose by your zoning law. So the zoning law does allow you to impose conditions, but for major projects, it says that the conditions are limited to the 4 that are given in that section of the zoning law. And those are with respect to ingress from and egress to public thoroughfares controlled by the town, routing of mineral transport vehicles on roads controlled by the town, requirements and conditions specified in the permit issued by the DEC concerning setback from property boundaries, public thoroughfare rights-of-way, natural or man-made barriers to restrict access, dust control, and hours of operation, and enforcement of reclamation requirements contained in any DEC permit. In this case, the proposed mine, my understanding it's not going to be using any town roads, so the first 2 really don't apply.
Right.
The second 2 do, but they're, the DEC has already issued its mine land reclamation permit and imposed its own conditions. What I put in the proposed resolution is conditions that are consistent with the conditions that have already been imposed by DEC. So that's consistent with what
Our zoning is.
121-17D for C and D allow. So what this resolution, proposed resolution, does is it grants the permit with on the condition that the applicant meet all of the conditions that are contained in the DEC permit, which has already been granted.
Right.
A couple of other things just to point out. The resolution also requires the applicant to provide a conservation easement.
Mhm.
They provided a draft copy, which I found to be acceptable.
And who's going to hold the conservation easement?
I'll hold it in escrow. So the condition is that the applicant provide a fully executed conservation easement. I'll hold it in escrow pending completion of the phase. This is, proposed mine is to be conducted in 7 phases. What the applicant is proposing to do is do separate conservation easements for each phase, so that once each phase is completed, the conservation easement restricting that portion of land would then be filed. Sure.
Could you go up
Yeah,
to
just go up there.
the microphone, please?
Hi, I'm Donald Capolino, Rothschild, attorneys for Ridgecrest Farms. I just want to make sure that this point is clear. The whereas, one of the whereases in the
Page 8.
in the resolution. I'm sorry.
Page 8 has the whereas.
Yeah, I'm one of the whereases. The one I'm referring to is actually. Sorry, I'm not sure my pagination will follow yours.
I think what you're referring to is page 8, probably the last whereas paragraph.
I have the the second from the last,
Okay.
third from the last, I'm sorry, third from the last whereas.
Right.
Okay, that particular one, it's referring to the use of the property, limiting the use of the property, restricting it to mining, agriculture, forestry, and recreation. We have all along said that when this was completed, it was going to be like a gentleman farm. That is to say, it will have, and the proposed conservation easement says it is expected that over all 7 phases, we will just, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, but we will keep extending the conservation easement. So my view is that the second conservation easement will just be the first one plus the new area with the same conditions. And so the conditions will be, when it's all finished, there will only be allowed one residence, a main residence, there would be a guest cottage, there would be permitted, there would be a caretaker's cottage, and then all the agricultural buildings that would be anticipated. I just don't want it, because we're talking in that whereas, as though we were limited to agricultural, mining, forestry, and...
It doesn't say there's a house.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't mention that
It says
a house or agricultural
recreation.
buildings, right.
It doesn't mention that. I just want to be clear that...
I think with agriculture, you're allowed to use, you can have any of the storage structures. And,
Right.
You can even have a residence.
Right, we have residents, and we just want to make it clear that that's the intention. It has been all the way through. It hasn't changed. It is in the conservation easement that we have proposed to you, and I just would like maybe the clarification. I think that the best place to put it might be in that condition on, I think it's page 9, where you list the first condition to be the DEC, that we comply with DEC permit. It's my pagination, I'm not sure it's yours. I'm using a black line to show that changes might not be there. The second was that we comply with the technical comments contained in the March 26th Rhodey, Soik, and Andrews memo, which really just, the technical points were that we take some references that were in the written documents and place those notes on the actual site plan documents, and that there was a listing that we provided that the engineer wanted more things put on the list. We have that underway. It's almost finished. So those are and then the third one is that we deal with the conservation easement, and I would just add language, if I may, I would ask you to add language that said at the end where it said, in accordance with the conservation easement presented by the applicant to the town board on March 28, 2013, just indicate clearly which provides for the establishment of one residence, one caretaker residence, one guest house, and agricultural structures. And if that is clear to everyone, so that someone doesn't come back 5 years from now when none of us is here, try to interpret it. I'm just looking for clarity, that's all.
I think clarity's good at this juncture.
Okay.
And I don't think the town board,
Can you
town
write
had
that in,
any
or
other...
we have to redo this?
You could just
Plans.
write it in by hand, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
The, one residence, one guest house, and storage.
One caretaker's
One caretaker.
residence as well,
And agricultural structures.
and agricultural structures or buildings.
That's it?
That's all. Thank you.
So I understand you're gonna hold this easement in escrow until we pass it, and then what entity oversees the compliance with it?
The town.
The town holds
Town
the
is-
easement?
is, the easement is gonna be for the benefit of the town.
And filed
And
with
the town, well, it gets filed with the county clerk. It'll also be filed with the town clerk, but the responsibility of enforcement is gonna be on the town.
But there's a money,
Well, that was something that
Yeah,
hasn't
what is
been
that?
discussed. Your zoning law provides for, you can hold money in escrow to take care of the expected inspection costs in the future. So,
Why don't we allow the Duchess Land Conservancy to be the qualified conservation organization that the town designates to hold the easement?
you can
If
do
they
that.
would accept it, I don't know.
You're correct, they've got to accept it,
Right.
and that's gonna, it's
This
a
has
more
got to be a
complicated-
made-in-heaven easement because it's specifying up front. I mean, they would work with you to site the house, and, you know, we're not experts in that. I mean,
Does that help you with your tax advantage for the Dutchess Land Conservancy, or no? Or down the road?
I don't think it affects you one way or the other. The problem,
No,
I mean,
that's
simply,
There is an issue with this.
pardon?
There was an issue with it.
well, for one, they have to accept it, you've got to
Right.
get them to
Yeah, you have
accept
to
it.
accept it, and, this resolution anticipates that we're gonna deposit with the town, a sum of money for the enforcement, so you can hire them at that point to watch over it with the money that's involved. So, as opposed to trying to go through their approval process for the conservation easement and do this all over again, and delay the approval here, we would hope that you would just put in a sum of money that you find satisfactory to assist you in the enforcement of this, and take care of it that way.
has the town accepted any conservation easements in the past to oversee?
Not
I
that
don't
I'm aware of. This is.
Know that we have, I mean, other than our building inspector would be, our zoning enforcement and building inspector would have to maintain.
The only other, if you have conservation subdivisions, that this would come up. My understanding is this is the first special use permit you're going to be issued for a soil mine.
But I would think that Dutchess Land Conservancy would want to be a part of this. They maintain these things, they have maps, they have all the, the staff, they know how to cite this, they would work with us. I would think that this would be, I don't know that they would necessarily, maybe they would, for a donation, take this on, because
Well,
it does take some staff.
If we were to accept an escrow and then, as he says, hire them to do this, to oversee it,
Or
because
take
then
it.
it's in perpetuity. If we hire them to
Think that once
20 years.
we rotate off, we bring somebody in, new supervisor every 2 years, the institutional knowledge isn't necessarily maintained in perpetuity here. Whereas the DLC, that's their mission, and they have responsibility. I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm not saying that we wouldn't consider that, but if we're meeting on Monday and we have some few changes to make, we're meeting on Monday night. If I could call the Dutchess Land Conservancy and say, this looks like an excellent example of you partnering with municipalities, something you've always said you want to do. They have staff. They have the in perpetuity mission in their statement, whereas the 4 of us come and go, the 5 of us seem to be.
For enforcement or to
For-
the beneficiary of the
in place.
easement?
The easement's in place, it's just the enforcement you're concerned about.
Right, to
Right.
hold,
Okay.
to hold the easement.
What's a normal escrow for an easement, to oversee an easement?
I mean,
What would
you'd
you
have to check with them. I don't know what they would charge.
I think all they ask for from landowners is to possibly get a donation to help assist them,
But this is, you're asking them to assume the responsibility of doing these. They have
I
to
agree.
inspect once a year, or I don't know how often.
no, they
will.
don't. And if there's a house being built, you bet they need to be involved and notified, and there are probably certain routines that they do, but they don't. They have 30,000 acres to oversee. They don't go out and visit every site unless there's some activity, or a neighbor says, gee, they've just put up a shed. I'm not sure if that was in their building envelope or not.
Right.
Could you go take a look at it? Sure, they'll go take a look at it and work with the owner and figure out what they had agreed upon.
The difference between this type of conservation easement and the type that they are dealing with typically is that they are usually dealing with a farm that is being preserved and the people give up their development rights. The people get a very significant tax break for doing that, and in return, they give a few dollars to the conservancy to to have them cover their costs of doing this, and everybody's happy. In this particular case, it's a totally different type of conservation easement. The purpose of the conservation easement here is, under your law, you say that the mining company has come in, they've taken the value out of the land, so on that basis you're going to require that they not develop. And so that's what you're doing. We've acceded to that. The tax benefit's not the same under those circumstances. They don't get it if you require it as part of what you're doing. And that means, so he's given it up. And now he's doing that. You're not preserving a space. What you're doing is saying, well, now that you've done it, we're going to make sure that you don't build anymore. Anybody who's going to build is going to be coming to the building inspector and saying, may I build? And the building inspector is going to go back and look. There will be documentation that should support that. And in this, you have provided a fund of money for inspections to make sure that we comply with the terms of our conservation easement. So it's a completely different kind of arrangement. While I'm certain that when Ian is finished with this, it's going to be a beautiful piece of land and worth preserving and all of that. It's not in that condition now, and he's going to put it in that condition when it's all over with. And the town will have the enforcement mechanism to take care of that through its own building department. And so I don't think it's the same kind of arrangement. It's not the kind of thing that they normally get involved. I don't know if they would or they would want to, but the point is they're not saving a particularly beautiful piece of land right now. It's going to go in, they're going to go in there and mine it, and it's going to be a totally different piece of land when it's over with. The reclamation, I'm sure, will make it beautiful, and that will be nice. And we've acceded to a reasonable sum of money being deposited when it all gets filed and done with. And the reason we don't file it now, very simply, is that it could be this is a permit to do it. We may never go forward with it. If the economy goes bust and we can't do it, it would be really unfair to place a conservation easement on the entire property now. It's only after the reclamation is done, when it is worth saving and worth preserving, that he'll have made it beautiful, and at that point we'd do this. And that's what the arrangement here is. That's how it came about. Okay, and this is the way it was anticipated right from the very beginning. I don't think it's anything different at all.
The town's ability to enforce the easement is no less than what
What a code enforcement
well,
officer could
right,
do.
but they're no less than what a conservation organization would have. It's just a matter of expending the resources to do the inspection, and then if there were a violation, bringing in an enforcement action, which you may want to do anyway, even if it was a conservation organization that held the easement.
Absolutely. So the way this reads, though, it says that there's a provision in our local law number 2 that requires requires the applicant to grant to the town or such other qualified conservation organization as the town may designate a conservation easement perpetually restricting future use of the property to mining, agriculture, forestry, recreation, and we're gonna add the residential,
Aspect of
the
it.
caretaker, the guest house, and agricultural structures. But at any point in time, are we still allowed, once we sign this, that we could turn this over to a conservation easement? Or once we sign this, we have agreed that the town is going to take it on?
What well, you don't execute it, the applicant does, but once it's filed, then
It's
then
given to
that's
the
it.
town?
Yeah,
Okay.
it goes to the town. You would have to, again, if it's gonna be some conservation organization, they're gonna have to approve it, and would have to meet their own standards.
I see. So this would hold up this process?
It would hold up this process. I don't know that it would necessarily help achieve what you're looking to achieve here. I don't know that it creates any greater rights to the town or to the neighbors.
No, I don't think so. It just would delegate the responsibility to an
To
organization,
another
of which
organization,
that
that's
is
correct.
their
Then they
only
would have
mission, right?
They would have
That's
the
their
responsibility
sole
to
mission.
enforce it, to monitor and to enforce if there are any
But
violations.
we're a long, long way from that point.
It depends, I guess, on how fast they're gonna mine the property, but it's a projected 20-year
Yeah.
life of
It's
mine.
not like it's gonna be next,
Right,
next
it's
year.
not something that's gonna happen right away. The town is covered with the conservation easement. Once he starts mining, then that kicks in. Then we're covered as phase 1 and 2, and then as it moves forward, it's done. You restricted him to the agriculture within our zoning. It's gotta be an agricultural use, that's done. He's asked for a house, caretakers, horse barns, whatever they're gonna be. We've limited it to that. That's it. That's all he can do.
And they're
That's
all,
all anyone can do.
yeah, and they're all things that can be enforced by
Correct.
our code enforcement
Right.
officers,
He needs a
so-
truck to get down there though. So, I'm only teasing.
That's correct. It's just a
Correct.
matter of who's gonna be keeping an eye on it, and, it could be the building inspector. in
Well,
this
zoning
case.
administrator, when they come to we get a building permit, file a building
Right.
permit, and the zoning administrator, whoever that's gonna be, at that point is gonna say, hey, this is what goes with the,
But the process should be, if somebody were to try to build on that lot, they would have to go before the planning board if it was for subdivision approval, and
it's one lot, right?
It'll be on the
it's
one
map.
all on one lot.
It's all one
Written
lot.
It's
on-
gonna
Right.
be on the
Plot.
map.
Right, okay.
So it
It's
looks
gonna
to me,
be-
the only thing we really need to do is to come up with a dollar amount.
Well, and add,
Those,
yeah,
that,
add
right.
the,
Yeah.
add the buildings, because my concern would be, a development. And if this is in here, it's very clear that it's open land, which is what we've always wanted.
Right.
And a dollar amount, maybe, I don't even know if it's a schedule, a dollar amount with a phase of the permit, so that it's monitored. I remember when we talked about in the comprehensive plan, we were always out of the loop to look at the property that was being mined. So if we had a dollar amount, then the building official could be in a phase for inspection
Mhm.
at or whatever, a scheduled time, or at the phase when DEC is looking at it, or something, some schedule.
What makes sense is after each phase is done, before you can go to the next phase.
Exactly.
Do an inspection,
Right.
allow them to go to the next phase.
So we're talking 7 phases, and some dollar amount that would assure that it's on a schedule for those 7 phases, that it doesn't get lost when all of us are gone.
Well,
I wouldn't want it to get lost. And I see your point, but I think at the end of the day, it's one house on this big parcel, which is nice. I mean, that's what we always talk about, open space.
That's what we did when when we did the comprehensive plan.
Right,
that
we
was the
talked-
whole,
Yes,
and he's given up his development rights as part of.
essentially,
Which is
Yeah.
a big deal.
Right.
it is,
3.5 miles from a train station.
yeah.
Sure, he's given up a lot, there's no question.
And then the internal revenue doesn't like you, it won't let you get a charitable
Donation.
deduction. So on both ends, you know, lose the development rights.
Right,
And I can't even get the tax
Well, that's a
benefit.
shame.
So it's, you know.
So what's a dollar amount everybody's comfortable with?
So we're trying to cover the inspectors, our
Yes,
building
I mean, he
inspector's
has
cost on
probably have a
site.
truck to go there, right?
I don't think so.
And a garage to put it.
No, we have the
3
garage,
miles.
we're building the garage.
I'm working on that.
You wanna go there?
Yeah.
So if it were tied to phases, the dollar amount, you know.
Well, this is something that's gonna be in perpetuity, keep that in mind.
Right.
You know, I don't know what you pay
It's
the,
impossible to figure out what it would
Well,
cost a building
yeah.
inspector in perpetuity to keep an eye on subsequent owners and other people putting up a new garage and finding out whether it's an agricultural or if it's an auxiliary
But that
residential.
would come through the permit. You know, when someone goes to get a building permit, you have to submit the survey, you have to submit everything about it, where your driveway is, your septic is, your well, everything. So all of that would be looked at that time.
With our new system, it's all flagged. So once he files this map, that's filed within the zoning and building department, and Ron's gonna jump all over it. So at this point, the assessor's gonna have it, so that once it's filed, once the PDF file's done, it's in the system. So that'll flag it.
correct. That's the way it should
Right.
work, that
Right.
if
It's
someone,
flagged.
at some time down the road, they tried to develop it, it should,
Right?
Pop up.
It
it
would
should
flag
catch it, your
that
building
yeah,
department should
on
catch
the
it.
file map, it would say one house allowed or whatever we put in
And that's
here.
it, forever. That's it. There's no, down the road, they can't come back and say in 50 years that they're gonna develop it. That's not gonna happen.
Well, you know, this fee then, I mean, it seems kind of ludicrous to even put out a number, but, you know, $1,000, is that, you know, and then we keep this in perpetuity all these years, this amount keeps rolling over until a site inspection needs to be made?
It's fully reclaimed and over with at that point. That the inspection fee is really to inspect that as we're going along through the process.
Yeah, when the reclamation's done and the buildings are built and they've moved
There
on.
should be 7 inspections through the course of this project. And I don't know what the fee is now, but if the building inspector goes out to do an inspection now, a framing inspection or a plumbing inspection, I'm sure there's a fee for him to get in his vehicle, go down to this particular house site, do that inspection, drive back. It basically would be the same.
Same idea.
You know, so,
Okay.
and that amount is going to change
Over
over the
time.
course of time, and my amount will change over the course of time. You know, right now, I don't know what inspection is, is it $200? Well, 10 years from now, that'd be $300, or whatever that
Yeah.
number may be.
When you use that terminology then, the fee at the time, it's 20 years from now, that amount done.
When he starts his mining, he wants the money in advance. To find a reasonable number you're comfortable
You have to
Yeah.
determine it now, and.
We do?
I'm sorry?
We do have to determine it now?
Well, what the amount is gonna be.
Does it
Uh,
draw interest if we do it now? Is it
Yes.
interest bearing account?
Well,
Escrow.
Yes.
I suppose you could put it in an interest-bearing account if you
Not that we're
wanted
gonna get
to.
interest on it.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I'd only put $1,000 in escrow, and I don't think we would need the escrow for all 7 phases now, but if we put $1,000 in escrow, we're really only talking about phase 1.
Right.
Would be the first, say, inspection that we pop up. I think that would more than cover it.
Oh, more than covered, I
Yeah.
would think.
As, you know,
I mean, I would
We
think
have-
the inspection
Oh, you mean
cost would be
replenish it as
50.
it?
Yeah.
Is that, I was just gonna ask, is that language in there to replenish the escrow account if we need it?
I don't
But when we're dead and gone, who's gonna?
have it, but I
Right.
can
Why
add.
don't we add that, and that way we're covered. Who knows, it could be $1,000 a visit in 10 years. Who knows?
What are you adding to it?
To be replenished at the request of the town board, is that?
That's okay?
Like a revolving
That's fine.
escrow account,
That's fine.
that until
To
you're
be
done with
replenished,
your
period.
inspections, you just keep topping it up if it's needed. Okay?
Okay?
So you're putting
That
in to be
inspection fee is
replenished
gonna
as needed?
Change over time, so to sit here to.
As,
Yes.
to be replenished at the request of the town board, whenever
Right.
the town board.
Okay.
Okay? We all set?
Yeah.
You gonna fill me in with the language as I go here?
Sure.
All right. Resolution number 21 of 2013, Ridgecrest Farms, Inc., special use permit application for operation of soil and gravel mine within the SMO district. We're gonna make history in Amenia tonight. At a regular meeting of the town board of the town of Amenia held in the Amenia Town Hall on 25th day of April 2013 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor William Flood called the meeting to order and seconded by
I'll make a second.
Vicky Doyle, by councilperson, woman or councilman, William Flood, introduced the following resolution to wit. Whereas Section 121-17 of the Town of Amenia zoning law establishes a soil mining overlay district in the town and sets forth the regulations for the use of the property contained therein, and whereas Section 121-17C1 of the zoning law provides that all new soil mines within the town must be located within the boundaries of the SMO, and whereas Section 121-17C2 of the zoning law requires all proposed new soil mining operations within the SMO to obtain a special permit from the town board, subject to all applicable special permit requirements in Section 121-60 through 121-60, and whereas according to Section 121-17D2 of the zoning law, any application for a soil mining permit shall be deemed a major project if the proposed mining operation requires approval of the mining permit from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and DEC, and whereas Ridgecrest Farms, Inc. is the owner of 143.91 acre parcel of land located on St. Pat's Road in the town and designated by tax map number 132-00-1-7165-00-404090-0000. And whereas on July 21st, 2010, the town board adopted local law number 2 of 2011, which added 65 acres of the 143.91 acre parcel owned by Ridgecrest Farm, Inc. to the SMO. And whereas on December 2nd, 2011, Ridgecrest Farms, Inc. applied to the New York State DEC for a mined land reclamation permit, DEC permit ID number 3-1320-00202/0001 to operate a sand and gravel mine on 57 acres of the 65 acres contained within the SMO located on St. Patch Road. And whereas on January 29th, 2013, DEC granted Ridgecrest Farms, Inc. its requested DEC permit subject to specific conditions contained therein, and whereas DEC conducted a coordinated environmental review for the Ridgecrest Farms, Inc. DEC permit application pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and issues a negative declaration on October 17, 2012. And whereas the Town of Amenia Town Board was included as an involved agency in the environmental review for the DEC permit application. And whereas on February 11, 2013, Ridgecrest Farms, Inc. submitted an application to the Town Board requesting soil mining special permit to allow the operation of sand and gravel mine on 57 acres of the 65 acres contained within the SMO owned by the applicant located on St. Patch Road. And whereas the sand and gravel mine proposed by the applicant is the same sand and gravel mine for which DEC granted the applicant the DEC permit. And whereas the entire 57 acres upon which the applicant proposes to operate the sand and gravel mine is located within the SMO, and whereas the 143.19 acre parcel located on Sin Patch Road owned by the applicant is located in the rural residential zoning district and the aquifer overlay district, and specifically located within the primary valley bottom aquifer. And whereas small portions of the applicant's property outside of the area where the sand and gravel mine is proposed fall within the Hamlet Residential District, the floodplain overlay district, and the stream overlay district in the town. And whereas the applicant has submitted the following documents to the town board as part of its application: a completed land use application, a completed special permit application with the project site description, project narrative, authorization of the agent and escrow forms, a site plan, a completed agricultural data statement, a copy of the DEC permit issued January 29, 2013, including all conditions imposed by the DEC, a copy of the DEC permit application, all documents included therein, documentation regarding actions taken by the applicant to comply to this town's environmental performance standards contained in section 121-40 of the zoning law, and requisite filing fee and escrow amount for the application. And whereas the town board has received and considered all the above referenced documents submitted by the applicant as part of the application, and whereas the documents submitted indicate the application is proposing to remove approximately 2.8 million cubic yards of sand and gravel from the 57-acre mine site over a projected 20-year life of the mine. That the applicant has proposed to mine this material in 7 phases, and the applicant will begin reclaiming during each phase when 2 acres have reached final grades and are not required for mining activities, and no more than 5 acres will be exposed to removal of material at any given time. And whereas the documents submitted further indicate the reclamation will consist of grading and replacement of topsoil, reseeding the floor of the mine, and reforesting the perimeter of the slopes of the mine. And whereas at its regular meeting held on February 28, 2013, the town board deemed the application complete for purposes of scheduling a public hearing as required by section 121-62 of the zoning law, and thereafter scheduled the public hearing. And whereas at its regular meeting held on February 28, 2013, the town board deemed the application to be complete for purposes of referring the application to the town zoning board of appeals as required by section 121-62 of the zoning law, and for the purposes of referring the application to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development as required by section 231-M of the New York General Municipal Law, and thereafter cause the necessary referrals to be made to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development and the Town of Amenia Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development responded to the referral by report dated March 21st, 2013, stating that the action is a matter of local concern. And whereas the Dutchess County Department of Public Works provided a letter to the town clerk dated March 28, 2013, expressing concerns with respect to the proposed sand and gravel mine, specifically stating that Sin Patch Road, which is designated as the county routes 105 and 4, should be periodically checked and swept as necessary in accordance with a note number 7 on plot plans sheet SP4 dated March 12, 2013. Traffic may need to be detoured during the summer months because Dutchess County Department of Public Works plans to reconstruct a culvert near the intersection of County Route 105 and County Route 4. Dutchess County Department of Public Works will monitor the county highways for unusually or earlier severe wear and discuss with the applicant any problems that occur and how to remedy such problems. And that the special hauling permit application may be necessary for the applicant to comply with section 385 of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. And whereas its zoning board of appeals does not respond to the referral from the town board within 45 days required by section 121-62 E4. And whereas during the regular meeting of the town board held on March 28, 2013, a properly advertised and noticed public hearing was conducted by the town board on the application. And whereas the town board closed the public hearing during the regular meeting on March 28, 2013, and whereas the town board has determined the proposed action qualifies as a major project section under section 121-17 of the zoning law because of the proposed sand and gravel mine requires a mining permit from the DEC, and whereas the town board has considered the proposed application, including the conditions contained in the DEC permit according to the criteria for major projects set forth in section 121-63 of the zoning laws, as well as the criteria for soil mines contained in section 121-17 of the zoning law and the environmental performance standards contained in section 121-40 of the zoning law. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will comply with all land use district, overlay district, and other specific requirements of the zoning law and other chapters of the regulations of the town code, which will be consistent with the proposal of the zoning law and of the zoning district, SMO, SCO, FPO, and AQO. And whereas the town board has determined that after reviewing the conditions, the applicant will be required to file in the DEC permit in the narrative included in the application addressing the applicant's response to the environmental performance standards. The proposed sand and gravel mine will be in compliance with the environmental performance standards contained in section 121-40 of the zoning law. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will not result in excessive off-premises noise, dust, odor, solid waste, or glare, or create any public or private nuisance. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will not cause significant traffic congestion, impair pedestrian safety, or overload existing roads considering their current width, surfacing and condition, and improvements proposed to be made by the applicant. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will be accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system, or any other municipal facility. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will not materially degrade any watercourse or other natural resource or ecosystem or endanger the water quality of an aquifer. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will be suitable for the property on which it is proposed, considering the property size, location, topography, vegetation, soils, natural habitat, and hydrology, and its ability to be buffered or screened from neighboring properties and public roads. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will be subject to such conditions on design and layout and structures and provision to buffer areas as may be necessary to ensure compatibility with surrounding uses and to protect the natural, historic, and scenic resources of the town. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will be consistent with the goal of concentrating retail uses in hamlets, avoiding commercial strip development, and buffering non-residential uses that are incompatible with residential use. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will not adversely affect the availability of affordable housing in the town. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will comply with applicable site plan criteria in section 121-65 of the zoning law. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposed sand and gravel mine will have no greater overall offset impact than with full development of the property with uses permitted by right, considering relevant environmental, social, and economic impacts. And whereas the town board has determined that the applicant is not presently in violation of any of the provisions of the zoning law, and whereas section 121-17 of the zoning law provides that when the town board rezones a parcel of land to include it within the SMO, it may require the applicant to grant the conservation easement pursuant to section 121-20K of the zoning law, perpetually restricting future use of the rezoned land to mining, agriculture, forestry, and recreation. Upon receipt of all necessary permits to begin the mining operation, and as such, conservation easement shall be granted as a condition of the rezoning and shall be held in escrow by the town attorney and recorded in the Dutchess County Clerk's office upon final approval of the soil mining special permit and all applicable DEC permits. And whereas local law number 2 of 2011 adopted July 21st, 2011 contained a provision whereby the applicant was required to grant the town or such other qualified conservation organization as the town may designate a conservation easement perpetually restricting future use of the property to mining, agricultural, forestry, and recreation. And whereas local law number 2 of 2011 further required such conservation easement to comply with requirements of section 121-20K of the Town of Amenia zoning law, and be in form acceptable to the town board with the consultation and advice of the town attorney, and be executed in recordable form and held in escrow by the town attorney pending final approval of the town soil mining special use permit and all necessary DEC permits. And whereas the applicant has not fully provided a fully executed conservation easement in recordable form, and now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby approves the application, grants a special use permit by the applicant in accordance with section 121-17 in sections 121-62 and 121-63 of the zoning law, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant shall comply with all conditions contained in the DEC permit issued January 29, 2013. The applicant, 2, the applicant will comply with the technical comments contained in the March 26, 2013 memorandum by Rhodey, Soik, and Andrews, engineers for the town of Amenia. And the applicant provide fully executed conservation easements in favor of the town of Amenia for all 7 phases of the sand and gravel in recordable form in compliance with the requirements of section 121-20 of the zoning law, and substantially in accordance with the proposed conservation easement presented by the applicant to the town board on March 28, 2013.
Which provides for the establishment of 1 residence, 1 guest house, 1 caretaker residence, and agricultural structures. Is that everything? Okay.
Be it further resolved that such conservation easements will be held in escrow by the town attorney until completion, full reclamation of the phase of the mining operation which is subject to that particular conservation easement, at which time the town attorney is authorized, empowered, and directed to file in the office of the county clerks the conservation easement, or such updated replacement conservation easements as may be provided the applicant containing the same terms. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby approves the proposed site plan of the applicant, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to stamp and sign the site plan upon the applicant's compliance with applicable conditions, if any, in the submission of requirements stated herein, and if any, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the recording and conservation easements for all 7 phases of the applicant's sand and gravel mine. And be it further resolved that prior to commencement of mining activities, the applicant shall pay the sum of $1,000 to the town clerk to be held in escrow to cover the cost of inspection and monitoring the applicant's compliance with requirements of section 121-17 D4 of the zoning law.
That is to be replenished as needed.
To be replenished at the request of the town board.
Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be filed in the office of the Amenia town clerk within 5 days of the date of this resolution, and shall be mailed to the applicant within the same 5-day period. The foregoing resolution is voted upon with all members voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Raymer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come up and shake each one of your hands.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. Good luck.
We really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
We really do appreciate how hard and how everybody's integrity shown for one thing. We really appreciate it.
You don't know the battles that we had with a comprehensive plan over this thing.
Yeah, but your application was a breeze.
Right.
You're going to be great neighbors to Amenia, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Next is the
gym equipment from Curves. Discussion about doing what we want to do with this, if anything. It's been proposed that we take over this, the equipment from Curves. I think it's around $500 to buy the equipment. Move it here to continue with that operation.
Has anybody seen the equipment other than Victoria in the last, you haven't seen it in a while?
No, I haven't
Was
been
it
to
a year
Curves
or
in a
two?
while.
Was it two?
Probably a year.
I was there the other day. It seems to be in good shape. She said, I asked her about repairs. She said there are shock absorbers on it that they're just normal, like
Wear
Napa
and
thing.
tear. Oh.
Yeah, you can buy them locally. That was some of the equipment obviously needs some work, but. you know,
The
some-
only thing, I went to Curves for a while and used the equipment, and there was always someone there to watch you how you were using the equipment. I mean, even if you were seasoned, you've been there for a while, if you sat in a piece of equipment and, you lean the wrong way or put your neck the wrong way, someone would say, no, don't do it that way. You could injure yourself. So, if we're going to take this equipment and not have a person oversee who's going to be using it, who might use it the right way, might use it the wrong way, I don't know, that's the only thing that I am concerned about.
I too would rather see a fitness company, franchise or individual, somebody, a businessman, take this on and open up an exercise facility here in town. That would be, as Victoria mentioned, my concern is that we don't know enough about running an exercise room. I don't know, passive use, we have a passive exercise room, or a self-service exercise room at Carey Institute, which I use and enjoy. And it's a treadmill, it's a, bike, it's, very simple things to operate. It doesn't seem to require any special training, and we haven't had any accidents. But I don't know about this particular equipment, whether this requires, maybe more oversight. I just don't know enough about exercise.
Well, my concerns have been pretty much the same, is staff, maintenance of the.
Cleanliness?
Cleanliness of it. Who's gonna, it's a cost
Who
to the town
operates it?
to oversee it. If there's no cost to the town, we have to charge something to do it. So I don't know if we should, and I agree, it should be someone that's gonna be in business to take it. We have enough to do
We're
here.
not in the business
We're
of
not in the business of
exercise.
exercising. So,
If somebody from the community would step forward and say, this is something I would be interested in taking on, they would invest the $500, they would, we would help them set it up. I can see facilitating it, but I would prefer somebody else be in charge of it. It's not like the town of Amenia is allowing, free basketball. It's pretty obvious how to do that.
I would
but
agree, I think
Yeah.
it
Management
needs
may be more.
It needs oversight.
More
I mean, even,
management.
Yeah.
The one in Millerton has a monitor there all the time, with whatever equipment they have, so. But, I think it's a responsibility. It's too much unless we have someone there.
right, so I'll
Monitoring.
make a motion that we decline. We haven't really had an official.
Yeah, I would second that motion. I think it's, unless rec has someone who would take that responsibility, but then they would have to be certified in some way. I don't think we want to
I don't
venture
think we
into
need
that.
to go there.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a
Yeah.
terrific shame. It's a great idea, but
Mm.
You made a motion and
Oh.
a second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Crody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Minutes, we have some minutes to approve.
February 12th, February 14th, February 25th, February 28th, March 14th, April 1st, April 6th, and April 16th.
Has everybody read them?
I've gotten through, I think, all of them.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I'll second that. I read them as they came.
Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
and Supervisor Flood.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we have some other things under other matters from John Fenton.
John Fenton sent a letter to appoint Michael Segelman as backup fire inspector for the town of Amenia at an hourly rate of $26 to be paid out of general fund through voucher when needed. I'll need the motion, I'll make that motion that we do that.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Brody,
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle, and
Yes.
Supervisor Flood.
April 26th, third-party contractors, subject is to town board members. This time I'd like to request for approval to use funds from the general fund to pay a third-party contractor for the property maintenance, cleanup of removals from violations as needed case by case. Please be advised and reminding the board that the funds being paid by the town board will be leveled into the property, levied into the property owner's taxes. Fines included. I spoke to Ian about this afternoon. We already have this law.
What's that again?
He wants to, this third-party thing with the
He just
property
wants to
maintenance.
know the line.
Oh,
Right. We already have that
recouping
law.
the cost.
He can recoup it from the problem is, one of the properties we have some of the properties are foreclosed. It's up to our zoning law requires that we can go after the bank or whatever the funding company is that
Right.
holds the property. They have to maintain that property.
Or
If
the
it
money
gets-
goes as a lien against the
Correct,
property. Yeah.
right, which we already have that done.
Right.
So I don't
We
know
did
why.
pass that
Right,
law.
we passed that law, so this is really redundant.
Last
So
year
he's-
you
Well,
got
it isn't really
property
redundant,
maintenance.
because he wants to know if there is a line he should be using. And I see where, in the transfer of funds, we're taking it from contingency. So is there going to be a line to use for that, or we're
Well, we'll
gonna?
have to budget it for next year, but that's,
Well, we're gonna continue to take it from contingency, so we're
Right.
not going to set up a line. That's all he
Right.
wanted to know in the
Right, which I
letter.
talked to about that this afternoon, because you did one on John L. Road, that we have a bill for, what, 900?
And that's going on the
Lango.
taxes.
517, right, that's gonna
517
go on
on
the
Lango
taxes.
Road, yeah.
And that's
Right.
going on the taxes.
Right. So at some point in next year's budget, we'll have to put in a line for that. The third thing is, April 25th, 2013, board members of the Amenia Fire Company has come forward to obtain a public gathering permit for the 2013 annual Carnival of Fireworks, and the event is to take place July 3rd, 2013 through July 6th, 2013. They are requesting that the fee for the gathering permit be waived for this event as it has in the past. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'll make a motion to accept that.
I second.
Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle, and
Yes.
Supervisor Flood.
Yes.
The other thing under other matters we have is, we need to appoint another member to the Recreation Commission.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Pete Clare to the Recreation Commission for, I don't know how many years we need to, is the open seat for 5, 7?
He's filling Charlene's position,
Yes.
Correct.
so it's the remainder of her term.
The remainder of Charlene Pollinger's term.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
and Supervisor Flood.
Yes. One other thing, in your packet, you have the Dutchess County Shared Services. Dutchess County Central Services is a wide range of services available to reduce costs to help local municipalities and special districts. We can do cooperative purchasing program, fuel acquisition, heating oil cooperative, copying service, consolidated cooperative lease program, purchasing opportunities from county supply, storeroom, and surplus furniture. And also coming soon, special delivery, digital communication service to keep your residents informed. We also have a letter from Gillert and Klein, attorneys at law. Ian S. McDonald, Daniels and Porco LLP. Dear Ian, to read the Wassaic Fire District of the town of Amenia. I am writing you to confirm that the Wassaic Fire District's position regarding emergency medical services to that portion of the town of Amenia, which lies within the Wassaic Fire District. There's been a number of discussions amongst the Amenia Fire District, the Wassaic Fire District, and members of the town board as to how the town of Amenia ambulance district might look and operate. One question has remained unanswerable is the days, hours of EMS coverage with respective fire districts are able to provide. At the Wassaic Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners meeting last night, Wednesday, the board requested that I communicate to the town board the position of the Wassaic Fire District wit. That is as of January 1st, 2014, the Wassaic Fire District will no longer provide emergency medical services, including emergency medical transportation. The town of Amenia, whether by ambulance district or some other authority which the town may have, will have to provide or make arrangements for such services 7 days per week, 24 hours per day as of January 1st, 2014. I do not know what emergency medical services the Amenia Fire District may or may not be able to provide. I leave that question to them. Ian, I'm prepared to help you in any way with this issue, but I need to make Wassaic Fire District's position clear to the town board. Please call me with any questions or to discuss. Thank you. I talked to Ian about this afternoon. Basically, the Wassaic Fire District can contract with another rescue service, correct?
They can. There's specific rules about who they can contract with, but they could contract with an ambulance service, or I don't know whether they can contract with another fire district or fire company for a rescue squad, but they can do that themselves. The town has the authority to provide ambulance service for the entire town. They're not required to. There's no requirement that the town provide ambulance service, which Rod McLeod in his letter, I think he at least infers that they're putting the obligation on the town. Legally, that's not the case. You don't have to provide any ambulance service. If you do provide ambulance service, it's got to be town-wide. You can't provide it to only the Wassaic Fire District residents or only the Amenia Fire District residents.
Equally? In other words, we can't do full service for Wassaic and part-time for Amenia. I mean, I think Amenia has asked for part-time.
The town cannot contract to do that. What you could do is create an ambulance district and create multiple ambulance districts and provide different service in the different districts. But town-wide, it's got to be uniform.
I don't think so. If we're going to do one, we're going to do one. Multiple ambulance districts?
Well, I'm just,
you have two separate districts.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just explaining that if you're talking about providing different service in different areas, the only way to do that legally is to have two different districts, that's all.
The Amenia District does not want to have the Amenia Rescue Squad, which is not a district-owned, correct? It's not district-owned. It's owned by the company, so there are different rules and regulations between the Wassaic Fire District and the Amenia Fire Company or Rescue Squad. That's the issue.
Animals.
There are two different animals. So what we have in the
We have to deal with Wassaic differently then.
Correct. That's owned by the district, which is different.
Yep.
No matter what the Amenia runs it on donations and so on and so forth.
But if there's an ambulance district, that wouldn't happen. The taxpayers would have to pay additional tax. That's what an ambulance district does. The taxpayers
No,
pay it. Yes, it is. They would all have to pay an additional tax.
Well,
Correct, is that correct?
That's correct. The residents in the district would have to pay for
Which
the
Wasake you
service.
pay now, correct? They pay for it. They pay to maintain that rescue squad. Amenia does not. So if we do a rescue, a district, townwide district, Amenia does not want to have it run 24/7. Wasake wants to have theirs run 24/7. So that's why the two districts.
Right.
Obviously
It
the
doesn't make sense
it doesn't
to
make
do
sense.
a blanket district.
Correct.
Or you do a blanket service for the town of Amenia when Amenia still functions
Right.
with volunteers.
Right, you probably can do that, provide uniform coverage throughout the town, and then that would be, I don't know how that would work with Amenia, depending on what service they're gonna provide. Because the rescue squad, I think, only provides emergency services. So you could provide general ambulance services townwide.
So it'd be set up similar to how the lighting districts are set up?
Yeah, I don't know
similar.
how your lighting districts are set up. Do you have multiple lighting districts or just
Yes.
one? You have multiple?
Regardless, the taxpayer's gonna have to pay.
You-
Just like the districts are now.
Correct.
Fire districts are.
Yeah, it would be the same thing.
Nah.
You could set it up any
Similar.
way that you want.
Yeah, no.
No, we can't. I believe there's certain types of districts that need permission from the controller's office.
All of
I'm
them.
not sure, no, they don't. They're not all of them.
No, that's correct. I'm not sure if this would. I think it
But
depends
there are
on the
some of them that
funding.
do, so we would have to find out if we would
Correct.
need permission from
It's a
them
lengthy
to set it
process.
up.
You have to get an application, a license to run it, so on and so forth. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight.
So is
If it
the-
happens this year. It won't happen this year anyway. Yeah, it's too late.
The most efficient way would be for the Wasaic, or is that what you're suggesting, or you're gonna look into both scenarios for the town?
For them to provide their
Well, for the
own
Wasaic
service?
district, you started out by saying that they could contract with another service, but they would have to,
As a fire district, they can do that.
they can do it,
They
but they
can-
just have to increase their taxes to
Correct.
cover the cost of contracting it
There are
out.
rules about who a fire district can contract with. So that they can contract, I believe, with another municipality, another fire district.
Not with a for-profit.
Can they bring a profit, a
I-
for-profit?
Northern Dutchess.
I'm not sure. I think they
They can.
can. There are rules about what, they can't contract with another fire company unless it's pursuant to a contract to provide fire protection services in the district. They're very complicated rules on how the fire districts can enter into contracts with.
So
these,
as of 2014, Amenia will continue providing the service they have, and as of 2014, Wausau will not. So something else would have to be in place.
Correct.
But technically, it's up to the Wausau Fire District.
Well, it could, the Wausau Fire District could do whatever is within their authority to provide service. It doesn't sound like they don't seem to want to do that.
No, they're walking away from it.
Right. The town is not required to, but it could either provide townwide service or initiate the process of creating an ambulance district, where the district.
Or a Wausau Fire District could contract where they pay service to cover their district.
Correct.
Correct.
But that's up to them.
That's the easiest way at this point to do it. That's up to them.
Correct.
That's
up
the
to
way
them.
I understand it.
But is there, if they decide not to do that, is there any liability to the town if the town does not provide this kind of service?
No, none.
It's a service. It's just a service.
Right.
Correct. You've got no obligation to provide it. You don't incur any liability for not providing it.
We've
But
met
somebody's
several-
going to have to.
Well, I
We've met
wonder how
several
many
times with the-
towns don't offer the service. I think Millbrook offers a paid, part-time paid ambulance service.
Most do at this point, right? Most, you guys are fine, most, we're only, there's only a few that don't.
There's a handful left that's not covered.
Right.
Most covered, at least 12 shifts.
But doesn't the town pay for it?
Millbrook's different, I believe they're village owned, so it comes from the village fund.
Because I believe Dover pays for theirs.
It's a private service.
I know it's a-
Dover is a privately owned fire department.
Privately owned, so things are
Right.
a little bit
It's
different.
different. They just send the town a bill.
Yeah, they're their own corporation, so they file just a whole different way.
Yeah, that's,
They're their own entity.
What do you mean Dover's a private?
It's privately owned.
Whoever pays them to be there, they can get up and move it anytime they would like, because they're a private corporation.
So it's not a, it's a fire protection district, not
Yeah.
a
Correct.
fire district, okay.
They send a bill.
Things a little bit different.
Okay.
So it's a fire protection
It's
district?
fire protection district, not a fire district.
There's a few of those, there's not many.
There's a few of those,
Yeah. It's rare.
Well, we were going to,
We have met with the fire departments, we haven't met in a while, to see if we could hash this
I
out.
think they left it to the attorneys, was the last meeting I remember.
Right. But they were supposed to get back to us, we haven't heard from them, right?
From, well, other
This
than the
letter, that's
letter.
it.
We
No, I-
have now.
Yeah. I got the letter from Rod McLeod. I'd spoken to him a couple times, over the past 2 or 3 months. I spoke briefly to Bethany Ralph, who I think is representing
Amenia.
But she, I spoke to her to really clue her in. I got the sense she was new coming into this. She wasn't up to speed, so she didn't provide me with any information.
Okay. All right, we'll have to reach out to the attorney and the fire districts and see what we're gonna do here. Have to open it. From my understanding, it's a lengthy process, right? It's not something that's gonna happen overnight.
To create an ambulance district?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Takes a long time.
Again, you wouldn't have to create the district if you provide townwide service. How that would work with Amenia providing overnight or part service, I don't know. That would have to be worked out.
and they've got this ambulance,
They actually bought a new
Passaic has
one.
an ambulance. I mean, what are we gonna do with that?
Who?
Passaic.
They didn't buy the new one.
They didn't buy the new one, but
They didn't buy the new one.
Well,
They
have
still
an
have the old
ambulance.
one.
Right.
What happens in 2014? I guess they park it here, is that what they said? I believe that's what they said.
That's up to them. I don't.
That's up
Why
to
would
them.
they
It
own it?
belongs to them.
They could.
We don't own it. We have nothing to do with it. We don't own it. The Wassaic Fire District owns it.
They're a separate
They're separate.
municipal corporation, so.
I think Amenia, the fire department owns the, if I'm still correct, the fire department owns the building. And the fire department owns the rescue squad. The fire district, which is owned by the taxpayers, owns the trucks, the big trucks, and buys them. And they lease space from the Amenia Fire Company. Correct? The Wassaic Fire District is owned outright by the Wassaic Fire District, by the taxpayers.
Wow.
So they're completely different entities. One wears red shirts, one wears blue shirts.
We're still gonna provide the same level of service as we do now. And we're still planning on that even coming the next year, so I don't see that changing.
Well, unfortunately, it'll probably change over time, but right now, we're looking at something different. But, okay, all right. We'll have to deal with it as we go here. There was another letter which you have received from Charney and Associates, we'll discuss on Monday. That's a legal matter concerning Mr. Tuvalevitz. We'll deal with that on Monday. I have a letter from Sherry. We'd like to a suggestion is to transfer $500,000 from the general fund into a money market account at the Salisbury Bank and Trust. The interest for their money market account is 0.25%, and its money market account is not a binding CD for a specific amount of months. Currently, the CD interest rates at the Bank of Millbrook are 0.10% for 3 to 5 months and 0.20 for 6 to 11 months. The Salisbury Bank has a money market. We can cut, I think 8 checks a month from it, so we get a little bit more interest on our cash.
I would think that's a good idea.
It makes sense to move it
Yeah.
around. We've been looking at other banks.
8 checks a month, I mean,
Yeah, it's
payroll
I think it's
alone ought
right.
to be,
So we won't use any of it at all for quite a while. All right. I need a motion I'd like to make a motion that we move $500,000 from the general fund into a money market account to Salisbury Bank and Trust.
It doesn't require a resolution?
That's a good question.
I think it does.
Does it require a
What are
resolution?
you,
To move money?
to,
move money
Well,
out
yeah,
of
the-
an existing
the-
bank to another
No.
Right.
account.
The
To
resident.
open a new account.
No, but the Salisbury Bank is already an authorized depositor.
no, you can just do it by
Right.
motion.
Right.
There's no account. They're moving it to a money market.
What do you mean there's no account?
We just
They're
have to.
taking the money from the general fund, from the money at Millbrook Bank, and moving it into a money market at Salisbury Bank.
But it's staying within the general fund? It's
Correct.
just going from one bank to another?
Right.
Yeah, I don't see why you need a resolution, but you could just make it, you don't necessarily have to have it in writing, you make it by motion, that's gonna be sufficient.
All right, I'll make the motion that we move $500,000 from the general fund into a general fund market account at the Salisbury Bank and Trust.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti?
No.
Councilwoman Doyle? And
Yes.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Transfer of funds. We have 2 resolutions or 1?
2.
Okay, number 22
Yes.
of 2013, transfer of funds, whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary and anticipated to amend the budget, and whereas the town budget line 2770.1.00 requires an increase in the amount of $1,050, for which a grant was awarded by William G. Palmore Foundation, whereas the budget line 75104.1 historian requires an increase in the amount of $1,050 for the purpose of installing a historic marker, which we had the permit, and I think Stanley's installing it. Whereas the town budget line 51324.100 requires an increase in the amount of $4,040 for the purpose of core drilling at the highway garage, and whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 requires a decrease in the amount of $4,040, and whereas the town budget line 90508.1 unemployment insurance requires an increase in the amount of $1,716 for the unemployment insurance for James Fraley, and whereas the town board line 81604.100 refuse garbage requires an increase in the amount of $517.50 for the bulk pickup at 5 Lango Road, and whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 requires a decrease in the amount of $2,233.50, and whereas the general fund balance tri-wall certificate of deposit requires a decrease in the amount of $115,147.10 to reconcile said line, and whereas the town budget line 16204.1.30 requires an increase in the amount of $115,147.10 for purpose of capital improvements to the building roof repair, painting of the exterior, and whereas the town budget line 14404.6.00 requires an increase in the amount of $315 for the purpose of engineering services from Morris Associates for Laval Road, and whereas the town budget line 83404.6 requires a decrease in the amount of $315, and whereas the town budget line 83104.6.04 requires an increase in the amount of $1,027.50 for the purpose of extended maintenance for Insight software implementation and travel. And whereas the town budget line 83404.6 requires a decrease in the amount of $1,027.50, and now therefore resolved, town board authorizes a transfer of money.
Discussion? What is budget line 83404.6.000 transmission distribution?
I believe that's a
Transmission distribution.
I haven't seen that on a transfer of funds before. I'd like to know what it is and what funds are in that line.
Well, give me a minute. I'll get back to you. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to get back to you that one. What's the next resolution?
Transfer, the other transfer of funds. So you want to hold 22? Is that what you're saying?
Just hold off a second.
I'm actually curious about it.
Okay, resolution number, what's the next one?
23.
Okay, I'm just getting the answer. Whereas the town board has authority to transfer funds when necessary, I hope, and to increase budget lines to reflect the use of anticipated revenue, therefore to amend the budget, and whereas the town budget line 4960.314, emergency disaster assistance Tower Hill Road requires an increase in the amount of $111,150 estimated revenue and 0599.3 appropriated fund balance in the amount of $37,050 to provide for local matching required by the grant awarded by FEMA for 41612 for the project total of $148,200, and that whereas the town budget line 50204.3.141 engineering Tower Hill requires an increase in the amount of $33,020 for purposes of engineering design preliminary expenses and project inspection fee, and whereas the town budget line 51122.3.141 permanent machinery implementation of machinery Tower Hill requires an increase in the amount of $82,000 for purpose of construction, whereas town budget line 51122.3.141 requires an increase in the amount of $33,000 for purpose of materials and supplies, and whereas the town budget line 4910.3.142 Community Development Act, Willow Lane, requires an increase in the amount of $134,300 estimated revenue by CDBG grant program for the Willow Lane Storm Water Road Improvement Grant from Elizabeth Doyle, Community Development Administrator, email dated 6/15/11, and whereas the town budget line 50204.3.142 requires an increase in the amount of $14,000 for purposes of engineering services, whereas the town budget line 51122.3.42 Willow Lane requires an increase in the amount of $120,300 for the purpose of construction. And now therefore be resolved, the town board authorizes increases in the necessary budget lines to proceed with the transaction. Now the Willow Lane is still on hold.
I tried to call Ann Saylor today. She didn't I left her a message and didn't hear back from her. I'd spoken to her a couple of weeks ago. She was having the county engineers review the contract documents to get some idea of whose responsibility it was to mark the location of the easement. And I got an email from her after I spoke to her, because I had suggested that we have a call between myself, the attorney for the contractor, Gleason, and the county officials to try to resolve the issue, which she agreed with, but said that they were busy on some project. It would have to be the following week. I was away the week before last. I didn't hear back from her, and I tried to call her today. So, she's usually good about returning phone calls. I would expect I'm going to hear from her tomorrow. Gleason's attorney emailed me. She's willing to participate in the call, so it's just a matter of setting it up. Everybody agrees it's a good idea. We just have to do it.
It's an even better idea for him to sign the contract. Is he planning on doing that anytime
soon? Well, that's an issue. Obviously, he hasn't done it yet.
Well, he shouldn't be paid then.
Well, he hasn't been, and the county's made it clear that they're not, they won't reimburse the town if there's not a signed contract. So, and I made it clear to Gleason's attorney that he's got to sign the contract, otherwise the town doesn't get their money. He can't get his. You're at a Mexican standoff.
We're in an impasse.
Yeah.
Well, he still needs to move
He does.
the pipe where he put in the wrong place out of the easement
Correct.
before someone else
I mean,
sues
there you
us.
have a factual dispute between the contractor and your engineer about whose fault that is. The purpose of talking to Dutchess County about it is their position is that they don't want to pay for a contractor's error. But on the other hand, if there's some way to resolve if it's a genuine dispute and there's some way to resolve it, that they might be willing to contribute to resolving it. And so that's the purpose of having the phone call, is to see if you do the work, but at a reduced, you're not going to get everything that you were entitled to get, but you get paid something to compensate you for the materials and things like that. Will the county pay for that? Yes, the county, if that's what happens, then things start to move and the work can get done. The town knows it's going to be reimbursed by the county. The contractor knows it's going to be paid for its work by the town, and everything can move forward. But you're right, we're at a standoff now because the contractor's saying, well, I'm not gonna sign the contract until I get paid. And the
But-
town is saying, well, we're
But
not
the
gonna pay.
engineer is at fault for not having them sign it to begin with.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, that's correct. You shouldn't be in this situation.
No, we shouldn't.
But you
Well, he's
are.
not gonna come out and fix it. That's the deal. For $10,000, he'll walk from it.
Well, that's the purpose of talking to the
Right.
county, is to see if we can come to some agreement as to what, you know, what is everybody willing to agree to get this resolved. And if you can't, if that can't happen, if it's not gonna work, then
So is the engineer all paid up? There's nothing compelling Wheeler to come back into this? I mean,
I mean, Wheeler's
his
been.
insurance doesn't cover some kind of negligence on his part?
I had the town notified its insurance company, and your carrier sent a letter to Wheeler and to Gleason. And the reason they did that is they thought it would, they would report that to their insurance carriers.
Right.
So, I mean, both the contractor and the engineer should have insurance for situations like this. So, you know, if you can't work something out with the county, if they're not gonna pay for this error, and the contractor's not willing to fix it, then, you know, we've gotta look at those
We have
other
to sue 'em.
options. You may have to sue the engineer and/or the contractor, which is, you know,
Well, we're trying to avoid that.
correct at all costs, and it's
I mean, we don't want all of the grant money going to you and the other attorney.
absolutely.
We're not paying his fees out of the grant. That's not part
Yeah, it
of
would
the grant.
be,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, you know, we're still
was never bid
spending,
properly.
we're still spending money.
Right, that's coming out of the general fund.
and that's, you know, you notified your insurance company, so, at least with respect to the claim made by the Slaters, the insurance company has an attorney working on that, so that,
It's a mess.
it is a mess right now, but hopefully we can, you know, hopefully it can be resolved amicably.
Or maybe not.
We just have to see. Again, you know, the town's concern is you want to make sure you get reimbursed for whatever you have to spend from the county, from the grant.
Right.
And as long as that is going to happen, then, you know, the town is covered, so to speak, and, you know, whatever that resolution is, if it involves the county paying for the work, then, I mean, it's up to the town board, but I would think that would be acceptable to the town. If you're not gonna have to spend the money, then,
Suing, right.
right. And we
Well, I
avoid
think this is,
lawsuit.
all you can do is get the, you know, conference call together and see
Correct.
who will pay for what.
Okay.
So I mean, in terms of lawsuits, you're within statute of limitations for suits against both, engineer and contractor. So it's not, just so there's not a concern there.
Good.
And it's worth
Options.
taking the time right now to try to
Right.
work it out.
Answer your question, it's a water line break,
Oh,
It's
that's
what?
water.
a water line break. Okay,
Let's stick with 23, since we're on that one now.
we're done. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept, resolution number 23 of 2013. Okay?
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Crody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Make a motion to accept resolution number 22, right?
22.
motion. Second.
I'll second that.
22 is one that he was looking up.
That one. And this is 23.
Yes.
Got it?
Yep.
Councilwoman Prody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Let's see, what's next? Resolution number 24, right?
Yes.
Adoption of internal control policies of the town supervisor to execute electronic or wire transfer funds. At a meeting of the town board, town of Amenia, held at the Amenia Town Hall, 25th April, day of April 3rd, 2013.
Why are we doing this again?
We didn't do it last time.
No, we didn't do it last time because it wasn't illegal proceeding.
What do you mean it's not legal?
Well, it says the town board now wishes to, this hasn't been discussed. The town board has determined that it's in the best interest of the town for the town supervisor to have the authority to transfer or disperse funds from the town. News to me. I don't remember any discussion on
Yeah,
that.
we did discuss
We
it.
discussed it, and then Bank of Millbrook came and said they didn't have the software to perform this. I thought this was to
No.
make
No,
sure
this-
that our paychecks get deposited.
No, it's not.
No, it's
This is a tax fund
Oh.
Right.
that the supervisor is only supposed to be able to view, not move the money around.
The
No.
resolution doesn't increase or decrease the authority of the supervisor, it just adopts policies for
Which we have to adopt by
whatever
New York State law.
accounts that he does have access to. It creates a policy that you have in place, which is required by Section 5A, the General Municipal Law. It's a policy with respect to electronic funds transfers.
Correct.
But
So-
it doesn't say to where.
It
Just
doesn't,
the ability.
Doesn't have
well,
to.
it's just the general policy for electronic funds transfers. That's,
By what specific funds?
it doesn't
It doesn't have to.
specify. So again, it doesn't create
By law, we have
any
to have.
authority.
I don't think so.
Well,
Section 5A, the general municipal law requires that if the town conducts electronic funds transfers, it's supposed to have a policy in place. And that's all that the resolution does.
okay.
It's adopting the policy.
Resolution number 24 of 2013, adoption of internal control policy of the town supervisor to execute electronic wire or wire transfer of funds. And at a meeting of the town board of the town of Amenia, held at the Amenia Town Hall on 25th day of April 2013, 7 p.m. Town Supervisor William Flood called to order the meeting, and
I'll second.
Vicky Doyle and introduced the following resolution to wit, whereas Section 5A of the New York General Municipal Law authorizes any officer of local government who is otherwise authorized to disperse or transfer funds on behalf of the local government, or disperse or transfer such funds by means of electronic or wire transfer, provided by the local government has entered into a written agreement with the bank or trust company which such funds are deposited, prescribing the manner in which electronic or wire transfers of such funds shall be accomplished, and the governing board of local government has adopted a system of internal controls for the documentation and reporting of all transfers or disbursements of funds accompanied by electronic or wire transfers, and whereas the town supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of the town of Amenia, and that whereas it is in performing the duties of chief fiscal officer of the town supervisor needs to have the ability to engage in electronic or wire transfers in those bank accounts which contain town funds. And whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town supervisor to have authority to transfer or disperse funds by the town by means of electronic or wire transfer. Whereas the town board now wishes to adopt a system of internal controls for this documentation and reporting of all transfers or disbursements by funds by means of the electronic or wire transfers in accordance with Section 5A of the General Municipal Law, and whereas the adoption of such a system of internal controls is a Type 2 action pursuant to seeker and is not, therefore not subject to environmental review. And now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby adopts the following system of internal controls for documentation reporting of all transfers and disbursements of funds by means of electronic or wire transfer. Prior to any transfer or disbursement of funds by means of electronic or wire transfer, the town shall enter into a written agreement with the bank or trust company in which such funds have been deposited, and such agreement shall prescribe the manner in which electronic or wire transfer of funds shall be accomplished, including but not limited to identifying the number and name the accounts from which electronic or wire transfers may be made, identifying the town supervisor being authorized to order the electronic or wire transfer of funds from identified accounts, plus one other official designated by the town board to have such authorization in the event of the absence of the town supervisor, and implementing a security procedure as defined in section 4A-201 of the New York Uniform Commercial Code. The written agreement shall be reviewed by the attorney for the town prior to its execution. The written agreement shall also require the bank or trust company to provide the town supervisor with written confirmation of such transaction no later than the business day following the day in which funds are transferred. The town supervisor, as chief fiscal officer of the town, shall have the authority to direct all electronic wire transfers to the town. The town board shall designate one other town official to have such authority in the event of absence of the town supervisor. The town supervisor shall not approve any electronic wire transfer without first receiving documentation detailing the amount, purposes, and designation of electronic or wire transfer. Such documentation shall be retained by the town for audit purposes. The computer on which any electronic or wire transfers software shall reside shall at all times be locked in a room. Password information is kept by the individual with the authority to execute the password. Password information shall be considered confidential and shall not be subject to disclosure of the town record under New York Freedom of Information Law. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to enter into and execute on behalf of the town a written agreement with the bank or trust company for which town funds are deposited, prescribing the manner in which electronic or wire transfers of such funds shall be accomplished in compliance with Section 5A of the General Municipal Law. The foregoing resolution was ordered upon and all councilwomen and councilmen voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman?
Don't we have a question?
It's already being done. We're already transferring funds back and forth from the banks
So
at this point.
This is
This is
installing.
just
But if we
bringing
could
it up
just
to
for a
code.
moment, just say the question that the town clerk had before was, the question was whether or not the town supervisor and the bookkeeper had access to money that had been collected on behalf of the town clerk, right?
Correct. Well, that
all we
wasn't the
do
exact
is
question.
the tax
just-
money.
They currently do have access to that because I was notified by the Bank of Millbrook that they are currently accessing the account. The question that came about last month that we were discussing was whether or not that the supervisor and or his staff should be transferring the funds out of the town clerk and the tax collector's accounts. After speaking with, and as we discussed last month, myself speaking with the other clerks in this county, it's not the best practice. I spoke with the auditors. And I spoke with and Ian and I had the conversation. It's a matter of it being the best practice if that's as to what we're going to do. At this time, still being new to the position, I do not feel that this is the best practice for my office. I write one check out a month to the town supervisor for all of the fees that go to his office. Town supervisor receives funds from the justice court. They receive funds from the planning and zoning. They receive, funds through recreation. They're still receiving checks. So I understand the idea of saving cost and time, but at this time, as your clerk, I do not feel that this is the best practice. I would like to continue to write the monthly check where I have a copy of the monthly check and remitting it over. Although it says that documentation needs to be provided to the supervisor first before any said transactions are going to take place. The one thing that I am doing that may be a little different is, they used to take it on the first of the month. I like to wait for the bank statements to come in, make sure everything has been reconciled. That way there are no issues similar to those that occurred in 2012 that will occur during this year. So I just like to have that ample time to go ahead and perform the duties and responsibilities of the clerk. So that's why I made it clear last month, I don't find that this to be the best practice. Taking the survey of the clerks in this county, none of them do it. So I have to go with the experienced clerks in my county and in the state as to what their practices are. When I spoke with them at the
But at
association
this point,
of towns,
it makes no sense to be writing checks when electronically you can do it, and you already have the system set
I'm
up to do it.
still writing checks to all of my other agencies that we're paying. Ags and Market, Justice Court Fund, the county, I'm still sending checks to them.
So
And
they
the
can't-
issue, I'm sorry, but
Go ahead.
the main concern, and I said that I'd be willing to do electronic transfers with me doing the electronic transfers to the account. This is giving the supervisor and/or another official to transfer those funds out. A mistake was done in the year of 2012. The wrong amount was taken out. I feel that I want to take responsibility for my office. If I'm going to miskey in the amount, I feel the burden falls on my shoulders. I don't feel that I should have to
Well, we can
rely on
change that
another person.
account. We can change that where where we don't go into your accounts. The only account we all monitor is the tax fund. That's the only one I monitor. I don't know, but I have no
But
clue what's in there.
you're right, the tax account should be separate because
Right.
you're collecting
They
not
are.
just for the
I
town.
have 3 separate banking accounts.
Okay. But
Currently.
this resolution doesn't, it's not giving the supervisor the authority to
Wire.
access those accounts. It's just,
Now we're going, the last resolution that you presented was very clear about going into the tax and the town clerk's account and the tax collector's account. Now we've gone to the other extreme that this is so vague it gives him access to. Therefore, should he go ahead and do it, it's a blanket saying he can. This is not specific enough that we're just discussing general accounts and the transfer of funds. It's just vague,
Well,
so
if
if
you
it
look at
does
the-
happen, I'm still and that's what we discussed. I'm still responsible. If someone takes out, he's gonna be the only one.
No, you're not responsible, I
but
am.
the only thing the resolution does is
But
set
you're
the
not supposed to
policy.
be, just to be able to look
The
at the
other
accounts,
clerks
not
also
move the
told me,
money.
and that's what we discussed
That's right,
last
I'm not
month. The
moving the
other
money.
clerks told me I was also supposed to cancel my accounts, and I'm supposed to be the only signer. Based on our insurance provider, they had said we should have 2 signers. In fact, our account has 3 possible signers with 2 required. So,
But that's all your funds. I don't sign your checks for your funds.
no, but you can. On the first day that we came in and
Right.
I gave you,
Right.
the full.
Right.
And if you want to continue with General Municipal Law, Section 5, it does also go on, it actually gives me the authority to sign on your accounts. We're supposed to be cross-checking each other. So, I just want to be able to have this as a full communication and working here as to what you're really looking to see to do these transfers. Are you looking to do the transfer of these accounts from my accounts, or are you looking to just talk about your general accounts?
General accounts, I believe, that's all we're doing.
Well, it doesn't
It doesn't
specifically say
specify
that.
It doesn't give you the
It's very
limitations to
vague.
it.
Well, I don't see what the big deal is.
Well, there is a big deal as
Well-
far as municipal law.
It's the law, it's legal. You're already doing it now. What's the difference?
Doing what?
We monitor the accounts.
But
Especially the
But you
tax
can't take the money and move
I've
it.
never taken any money and moved it. It never happened.
What-
That's never happened. You still always cut the checks. The only thing, the account I check is the tax account. You were over 500 or 600,000. That's the only thing was it 500,000?
It was over 500,000,
Right.
but according also to the statute, by the
Right.
15th of the month, I'm supposed to pay the county. So I better have over 500,000 in there.
That's right. That's the only thing I monitor.
But I understand that you're saying you're monitored, but are you physically the one on the computer monitoring it? Because
Sure.
that is not a true statement, because Patty has gone in when I first started, when you guys said do electronic banking, she'd go in and I walked into Sherry and Sherry printed it out for me. So there are multiple users on there that have access to the accounts via electronic method.
Correct.
And it was supposed to be that it was going to be another elected official. At this time,
She's on the list also.
but we also have,
But I don't want to move money from the tax account,
You
and I
have
don't
to.
intend to.
You have to by law.
She has to. We
Or-
don't.
That's right. We monitor it. We've never moved the funds. She's always moved the funds. We go in and monitor the funds and make
this
sure
is
it's a
talking about
transfer.
the actual transfer funds. This is not talking about the monitoring of funds.
We've never transferred any money from your accounts, ever.
Last year, you did. And you did on December 31st of this
Tax
2000
month.
vote. Okay, but now, but you see, this is so vague, we're talking about multiple accounts. It was
well,
being
this-
done.
somebody
Bank
has
would
to-
be able to
doesn't-
set it up so that you're the only one that accesses the
Correct.
But this
tax.
doesn't then, at this point, this doesn't give me the authority to transfer the funds electronically. This is allowing the
Well-
supervisor and/or one other delegate to transfer the funds.
Okay.
So unless I'm gonna be the delegate that goes ahead and transfers the funds, but the problem has been since the beginning of the year that they will not give me the account that they wanna transfer to. Because during my audit in January with 2 board members, I agreed to going to electronic method because that's what the supervisor wants. I think it's a great idea. I would love to see more electronic banking. I was willing to get the credit cards. I want the direct payroll. But what's happened here is the responsibility is being taken off of my shoulders and being given to someone else. And I don't feel that that access should be being done by someone else. If
But-
I'm responsible for the accounts and if I'm writing checks, how do they know that I wrote a check to the county?
But this resolution doesn't have anything to do with that. That's,
You're reading too far into it.
well, all it does is if you're gonna engage in electronic fund transfers, you have to have a policy in place, you have to have an agreement with the bank. That's all this resolution is saying is
And nowhere in
that
this resolution is it giving me the authority to do those electronic transfers.
it doesn't, it just gives the town supervisor, but,
Well, we can
What
set
a-
that
But
up.
that's
But
the
I-
problem.
you're saying you can set it up with the bank that you're the only person that has access to the tax account.
There's multiple of us that are going on online and checking the account. If we're just monitoring the account, there are multiple individuals that have access to it at this time. I am worried about the actual transfers of funds. I don't
Correct.
care, they are welcome to look at, I mean, my bank statements are open to the public. Come in and see.
All statements.
But my concern is who's actually performing the transfers. He's looking at my account, he sees I have $500,000 in there.
But I'm just
But
saying
that's
that,
not all there, so if they're gonna go in and whomever they are,
yeah,
I was told I'm still responsible for that.
but the resolution doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the supervisor can access that account. It's just whatever accounts have town funds that he can access, he can engage in
Exactly.
electronic funds transfers.
That doesn't extend his powers anywhere
Doesn't
beyond
extend
what's
it
already
to-
established.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
just
if-
don't want
all
another
established by
paper
law.
check thrown at me. That's what I'm trying to eliminate, and we need to talk about it here. I can't be questioned, why am I writing a check? I just can't have that. That needs to
Right.
stop. So that's what, let's talk about it. I would prefer to keep writing the check, just like all of my other co-clerks have said to me to continue to do. And let's discuss it, so that way next month, on or before the 15th, when I hand that check over, that is the preferred method.
And this resolution doesn't change that,
Doesn't
doesn't do
change
anything,
it.
doesn't affect that. So if
But
you're
just
saying
as long
that,
as we understand that that process is not gonna change at this time.
Correct.
I mean, that's,
Now
that's,
it'll be put in the minutes, that way I won't be
Okay.
scolded for
Whatever.
doing something different.
Everything, most of the bills are paid, well, whatever, it's all done electronically. So at this point,
And we're just getting the resolution. So I just wanna
well,
make sure
that's
we're
right,
doing
it should have been done years ago. It's never been done. So it is what it is, before anything. So,
Because the town clerk's municipal law book says no payment should be made except by check from the official bank account established in the name of the town clerk in a bank designated by the town board.
and also, the problem is the laws are behind this, the electronic versions of what's happening are ahead of what the local laws are. That's the version we're being told. But we're already transferring monies already electronically. We transfer it every day. So it's nothing new. Every week we transfer money electronically, not from your account, our account. So it's
That's all
done-
we're trying to make clear
Right.
here today.
Right.
Bill, we just wanna say that this, I'm
Well, it
not-
has been cleared on.
No,
We
it
still
hasn't.
accept checks from you. It has. Did you never hear? We still accept checks from stuff here. We still accept the checks from you. I took them the other day, right? We took
Yeah,
checks.
but
So
we
fine.
needed to discuss this.
Well, that's fine. But the wire transfers we do every day. So I have a motion on the table in a second.
Well, Councilman Doyle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody,
No?
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
You
Yes.
yes
Okay.
me first.
All right. Last one. Tri-wall resolution. Resolution number, what, 24?
No, 25.
25 of 2013, authorizing expenditure of Tri-wall Capital Reserve Fund. At a meeting of the Town Board of Town of Amenia Town Board held at the Town of Amenia Town Hall the 25th day of April 2013 at 7 p.m., Town of Amenia Supervisor William Flood called the meeting to order and seconded by
I'll second it.
Vicky Doyle. Whereas the Town of Amenia required the former Amenia Elementary School located in 4988 Route 22 in the Town of Amenia from the Weebatuck Central School District for use as a town hall and other municipal or public purposes. And whereas on or about December 28, 1995, the Town of Amenia adopted the Resolution 24B of 1995, creating a capital reserve fund for the purpose of funding the acquisition and construction of the land and building as authorized by Section 6C of the General Municipal Law, commonly referred to as Tri-Wall Capital Reserve Fund. And whereas the costs associated with acquiring the former Amenia Elementary School and converting it for use as a town hall and for other municipal or public purposes are expenditures that may be paid from this capital reserve fund. And whereas expenditures from this capital reserve fund are subject to permissive referendum, and whereas on June 17, 2010, the town board authorized initial expenditure of $100,007.36 from this capital reserve fund for the purpose of converting the former Amenia Elementary School for use as a town hall and other municipal or public purposes. Such resolution having been subject to a permissive referendum, but no referendum having been requested as provided by law, and whereas by resolution number 56 of the 2010, the adoption on December 9th, 2010, the town board authorized the additional expenditure of $100,000 from this capital reserve fund for purposes of converting the former Amenia Elementary School for use as a town hall and other municipal or public purposes. Such resolution having been subject to permissive referendum, but no referendum having been requested as provided by law, and whereas the town board has determined that the expenditure of an additional $115,147.10 is required from this capital reserve fund for purposes of financing the cost of additional construction necessary to continue the conversion of the former Amenia Elementary School for the use of the town hall and other municipal or public purposes, and is subject to permissive referendum. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Amenia may expend up to $115,147.10 of additional funds from the Tri-Wall Capital Reserve Fund for purposes of financing costs of additional construction necessary to continue the conversion of the former Amenia Elementary School for use as a town hall and for other municipal or public purposes, and therefore be resolved that this resolution shall be subject to a permissive referendum, and that this resolution shall take effect either when no legally sufficient petitions seeking a permissive referendum are filed with the town clerk, and within 30 days of the adoption of this resolution of legally sufficient petitions are timely filed with the town clerk, then this resolution is approved by a majority of the electors voting thereon. And it is further resolved that by copy of this resolution shall be published by the town clerk within 10 days of the date of adoption of this resolution in the official newspaper of the town, together with a permissive referendum notice in substantially the form attached hereto and made part thereof Exhibit A. And it is further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to take such administrative and ministerial action as may be necessary to effectuate the terms of this resolution. The following resolution was voted upon by all councilwomen and councilmen voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Crody?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Do I have to read this? No, you have to put this.
No, that's just a notice, so that, I guess what you've done in the past with permissive referendum, there's the notice and then you include the full resolution in it. Looks like that was what was done last time.
Okay. I'll look it up. I'll find the last one.
If you need the Word file, I can send it to you. I don't know if I
If you have it.
I do.
That would be great, and then
So
I'll
then you just have to, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
The
Thank
board
you.
is to be commended for what they've done with this tri-wall money. You've stretched it for years.
How much do we have left?
This is it.
This is it. This is the finale,
This
grand
is it.
finale.
And my report is there's a lot of work going on here. The roof is being repaired, the gym roof. These two roofs on the front part were done. They're putting the styrofoam in. If you've noticed, the sacks of styrofoam, so they're pitching the roofs back and forth. That's done. The painter started today. They're painting the building, and the trim that was started today. They scraped the first over the auditorium. They started. The tree trimming is being done now from the grant. All of Mechanic Street was trimmed today. They trimmed all of the trees by the tennis courts were trimmed. They started doing some of the crabapple trees on 343. I think they're heading tomorrow towards the park, Fountain Square. They're doing that, and then there'll be a couple, 3 days, I think they said, trimming the trees.
Great.
So that it actually they're pretty good. So that's all I've got to. I did go to a meeting at the Madeira Farms of Progress for whatever it was. It's a very good meeting, and the Pattern for Progress. I'm drawing a blank here tonight. There are funds available for the little towns, but we have to get together and get stuff done, and they're willing to work with us so we can get some more money to help with this building and get it done. But that's all I have to report as the town board.
Is there a proposal that has been sent to the town of Dover for the dog?
I have tried to reach out to the town of Dover supervisor. I have not heard back from him as of yet. I've sent him 4 or 5 emails. I have also tried to reach out to one of the council people in Dover. I have not heard back from him. I'm going to have Ian touch base with their attorney. Maybe we can have that done.
Sure.
And see what we can do to get this thing resolved.
But before we let our current dog or animal control person go, who had actual kennels on his property and hired another one, there should have been a contract in place so that there was a plan. So right now, we have a new dog or new animal control person and no place to put the animals.
Well, the animals, that's correct. At this point, we were allowed to use Dover. Originally, when I spoke to the town supervisor, it was not a big deal. Somehow it's morphed into a big deal.
It was, my understanding is it was a conversation in passing with the supervisor that you never made a formal proposal, you never discussed any specifics as far as what the cost would be, and they're certainly going to charge us something to use their kennels. So what we have is a mess. We have an animal control officer, no place to put the animals. He's trying to do his job the very best he can.
Which one?
Our new animal control officer.
Correct. Right. And you also told me that we owned the kennels in, that Tuba Levitz has, which is not true. He paid for them. So we did reach out to Tuba Levitz, and he owns everything. The town paid for them, or said they paid for them. That's not documented anywhere. The town of Dover, from what I understand now, we have them, we've picked up 3 or 4 dogs in the past couple of weeks, which is more than we picked up in a year, 2 years. Last year we picked up 1 dog. So we are trying to make arrangements with...
And they haven't been put in the Dover kennels because you have no proposal in place, no contract in place. You just went ahead, let the animal control person go,
The town
hired someone
board-
else with
The town board
nothing
voted to do
in
it.
Town board
place.
should have made sure that we had.
And I did not, it wasn't a
Something in
passing
place.
conversation, I did have a conversation with the supervisor, and I'll reach out to him again. Hopefully
Well,
we can
reaching
get-
out, this is like shutting the barn door after the horse
Well,
got
it's not that
out.
big a deal, I don't.
It is a big deal. You have absolutely nothing in place. Nothing.
Well, we'll reach out to the town of Dover, that's all I can do.
Well, at this point, you're at their mercy, aren't you?
Not really.
Yes, you are. You never set anything in place. We have no contract, nothing, no place to put these animals. Because you just arbitrarily said, we're going to do shared services with Dover, and nothing was factual.
It's not my fault
Nothing
if
was
I
in
can't get
place.
them to call me back.
You should have had it in place and had someone call you back, get in a meeting, set things up before you hired a new dog control or animal control person.
That's fine.
Fine, it's a mess.
Maybe in your mind it's a mess.
It's in everybody's mind, it's a
It's
mess.
a waste of
'cause
money
there's
that this
no
town board
place-
wasted with the other guy is a waste of money, not with
There's
this
no
one.
place to put the animals.
He's got them, we got them stored. We've had no
Sure.
problem with them so far.
Where are they?
He's, with
Yeah, where are they? Let the board know where they are, Bill.
There's none. He's got one, he took one he kept. I believe the other one was a little one that Katrina adopted the other day. The other one was put up for adoption and the owner came back and picked it up.
In other words, he's winging it, because there's no place to put them. I have some.
We paid the other dog catcher an $80,000 a year, $7,000 a year for nothing. So we can go that route too.
I don't think so.
Well, he called the sheriff's office, how many calls they received, and he never returned any calls. Or the town board members, or the lady
The
here.
point
that had
is,
the-
you should have
The
had
lady
something
had
in
the dog
place.
that pinned her in the garage, and he never even called to pick it up.
Yeah, you've got the town in a mess right now.
No, I don't have the town in the back.
Sure you do. You don't have anything in place.
It'll be taken care of, don't worry about it.
Well, I have to worry about it. I'm on the board, aren't I?
So,
The Amenia Fire Company will be sponsoring an open house on Sunday, April 28th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the firehouse on 36 Mechanic Street. The event is being held in conjunction with Recruit New York, a statewide effort to stimulate interest in the volunteer fire service. Tours of the firehouse, displays of equipment, and kid-friendly hands-on demonstrations will be conducted throughout the day. Free food and drinks will be served, along with door prizes. A car extrication using Jaws of Life and other tools will also be shown. The event will be held rain or shine. For more information, call 845-373-8467 or 845-373-8352. It'd be a VFW breakfast in Dover Plains. The Harlem Valley Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 5444, will hold a breakfast on Sunday, April 28th from 7 to 11 at the VFW Post 3422 Route 22. The cost is $7 for adults, $6 for seniors, and $5 for children 12 and under. The menu consists of eggs, pancakes, hash, bacon, sausage, potatoes, toast, coffee, and juice. The defensive driving class. The town of Amenia will host a defensive driving point reduction class on Monday and Tuesday, April 29th and 30th, from 6:30 to 9:30 at Town Hall. The class will be taught by Stephen Williams, who is certified by the Empire Safety Council. Upon completion of the class, drivers will be eligible for an immediate 10% discount on their auto liability and collision premiums, including property damage, bodily injury, and personal injury protection. The insurance savings will apply to all vehicles for which the student is the principal operator for 3 years. The class will also reduce up to 4 points on the student's Department of Motor Vehicle driving record. Enrollment is open to all drivers regardless of age or driving experience. The fee is $40 per person if prepaid or $45 if paid at the door. For more information or to enroll, call Stephen Williams, 518-203-1295, or email stephen@drivesmart.us. Seating is limited to 40 people. And that's all I have.
I don't have anything.
I received a letter from the Dutchess County Arts Council that stated that we have received a $900 grant for the dance program. And I need a couple of signatures from Bill for the contract, which specifies all kinds of requirements, but I've read them all signed on
Here.
behalf of, of the project coordinator, and Bill is now signing to accept the funds. I will go and get the funds mid-May, so we'll have them in advance, and we'll need a resolution asking for, oh, I have to have two of those. The last page also. I'll need a resolution transferring money into the dance instructor's line, and it would be $900 from the Dutchess County Arts Council. Thank you.
I'll let Mary know, or you gonna let me know?
I can. Okay. That's it.
That's it. Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
To pay claims.
Pay claim.
Second.